Simpsons Index, an online spreadsheet that is also a podcast. This is the podcast.
Coming to you out of SideQuest Studios, this is the Simpsons Index, episode 130. Hello out there, I'm your host, Elliot Jay O'Neill, and joining me tonight in SideQuest Studios is Maddie Dockrill.
Hello.
And here as always, except when he's not, BT Calloway.
No, hoi hoi.
And welcome to the Simpsons Index. This is a podcast where we watch and review 3 episodes of The Simpsons at a time, but there's a twist. Each episode must come from a different decade. How we doing?
Agreeable.
You know what? Great. I'm doing great.
Yeah, it's a nice Sunday. Despite what I said before, it's actually daytime.
Shocking, actually. Yeah, I was saying I've never been here in the day before, so it's just a whole new lease on life.
Yep, proof we're not vampires.
A whole new world. Forgot I couldn't sing that high.
Yeah, you usually do the Aladdin part, which you're shockingly good at.
Don't you dare close your eyes.
Have you gone to see the new Aladdin? Is that what's inspired this?
No, I can't. Like, I've thought long and hard about it, and I've decided that I'm just going to catch it on Netflix or Stan or whatever it fucking hits when it's out of theaters.
Is that as like a personal protest, or is that...
Yeah, I mean, just from the outset, every trailer that I've seen of it just looks so fucking like they've dulled it down and taken all personality out of it. Have you seen it? Sorry?
No. Actually, I love it. It's my new favorite film.
Oh, shit.
Fight.
I'm going to go.
No, I mean, I'll just wait. I might see the new Lion King, though.
So I feel worse about the new Lion King than I do about the new Aladdin.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Is it Childish Gambino over Will Smith? Is that what is going on? Or?
No, I just think it's almost like if the entire thing is CGI, it's then animated, so they're not doing anything.
Yeah, it ceases to be live action.
Yeah, it's like it's just a different form of animation. Why are you doing this? And also, the first one is like perfect.
Yeah. Well, that's what I thought about Aladdin, you know. I was anyway, this isn't a Disney podcast. Oh, wait, it's The Simpsons. Yeah, it is.
Yeah, everything is
Shit.
Disney. Give it enough time.
Well, yeah, let's hook into the Disney property, The Simpsons, where we just watched an episode from the HD era. This was Season 28, Episode 21, Moho House. First released in May of 2017, it was directed by Matthew Nastuck, written by Jeff Martin. In this episode, Mr. Burns gets into a bet with some former businessman that he can break up Marge and Homer, and then that businessman gives Mo a new bar to help with this bet, and Marge and Homer's marriage is on the rocks again. Guys, what do we think?
It's a bit grim.
Yeah, right?
Yeah, man, this one is like an optical illusion because you can be fooled into thinking it's a decent episode because the scene-by-scenes aren't too bad, but when you take it as a whole, this is such garbage. I hate it so much.
Like, there was a logical storyline and there was like, conflict, a resolution, and a solution. And I was like, oh, this is a change from the usual like HD era where it's just like a bunch of shit happening.
Yep, where it almost has ADHD where it just bounces around all the time.
So, I'd give it that, but then the fact that it was dark.
Yeah.
Like, I was like, this is a little bit too real.
And then it doesn't resolve that darkness, and
it's just like constant Band-Aid on
just putting Band-Aids on Band-Aids on Band-Aids.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is barely holding together on those Band-Aids.
Yeah,
so
my Band-Aid ripped. Give it a Band-Aid.
let's hook into those moments. Maddie, for better or worse, what is something that stands out to you about this episode? What's a moment or a scene or whatever?
I'm going to say worse, and I'm going to say Marge's distress about the breakdown of their marriage and just how unhappy she is. I mean, that scene where she spends all night crying in bed as Homer's asleep, and then he goes, "How did you sleep?" And she goes, "The usual." I was like, oh God.
Fucking hell. Oh man, that hurt. Like,
Jeez.
Like, you get it as an audience member. We've seen these guys go through, the motions and the heavy emotions.
But that's a freaking bomb. That's just ow.
Yeah.
That was emotional abuse. Like,
Yeah. And because they spend a while on this as well, just Homer blissfully snoring and rolling around in bed, and just the tissues are piling up. And
the time-lapse animation of her just crying all night. I'm like, oh.
Again, artistically and objectively, there's a lot of parts of this episode that I think looked good, and that was one of them, as grim as the fucking outcome was.
Well, the big problem with that is this whole one is that Homer's usual apology isn't cutting it anymore. He needs to genuinely change, but its resolution is, I made you a flip book.
Yeah.
And it's like, that doesn't fix the entire night's worth of crying that we've just been told is normal.
Yeah.
I think that's what was so sad about it, was there was this constant like pressure from Marge being like, you need to change, things need to be changed. Like, guys, it's been 28 years of Simpsons right now. Like, how can you say that the core characters are unhappy and they need to change? Like, that's never going to resolve. They're never going to change. Like, they're always going to be Homer and Marge. Homer's always going to be a fuck up. And like, to then turn around and be like, this character is depressingly unhappy in this marriage and feels trapped and has to cry herself to sleep all night. You're like, fuck.
Yeah, and now she's got a subscription to Numb Housewife, you know.
I know.
You're not feeling good if you've bought that magazine.
Again, I laughed at the joke of Numb Housewife, but still, the implications are just, ooh.
The front cover has a woman with her head in the oven.
And then the back had the Between the Bushes vodka 3 o'clock solution. Quite like that.
Damn it, that's a good joke.
That was quite a good joke.
Again, sign writers are on point.
How about you, BT? What's something about this episode that stands out to you, for better or worse?
It's all for worse, but mostly it's just oddly silent. There's this real lack of background sound or transitional music and some really hard cuts that very much illustrate that. When we go to like a scene that's raining, it's very quiet to suddenly very rainy. I don't know what it is exactly, but I really need to do a side-by-side with the classic era and this era and just try and pick out what's lacking in sound, because it is just weirdly quiet. And anytime there's a quiet moment between characters, it really stands out.
Oh, that's interesting, because I thought, especially when Moho House comes in, like there is this jazzy soundtrack that's sort of persistent throughout the episode.
Yeah, that's okay after that point. But compare that to earlier when they're in the nuclear power plant, which first of all has a lot of background jokes that make no sense. And there's just this weird pervasive silence that just, I don't know, like have the sounds of machinery and things, and it's there, but it's incredibly faint, and I don't know, I'm not sure what it is, but it's there, and it's very obvious, and it bothers me, and also this episode is edited like balls.
Yeah. Well, I agree with that. And one thing I did notice with the background gags in the nuclear power plant was in one of the scenes where they had the drunken donuts, and then they cut to another angle, and they sort of like moved the box. It was like, hey, just in case you missed it the first time, and it was like, come on, the joke wasn't that great.
Yeah. But I mean, even then, there's like kids in the reactor and they're playing with them through that. Is it meant to be like a daycare? But I didn't even see the sign, so I just saw the weirdness. Yeah. Fair enough. I'll give them that in the slightest. But then there's that new character whose wife like has a drawstring that drops a veil over her face, and it's like, okay.
And then she had spider legs.
And then she had spider legs.
That was so weird.
Is it meant to be that she's meant to be like a black widow hoping he dies soon? I guess.
Do you think that's what they're going for?
If that's what they're going for, it is the most roundabout way to possibly put it. It's like, hey, how do we let these people know this is a gold digging woman who's only interested in him for his money until he dies? Inflatable spider legs, duh.
I feel like sometimes they're like, okay, like how can we, I don't know, make an interesting character?
Yeah.
Let's just be full on fucking weird and see what happens. It's like,
yeah.
Like I would rather a Frank Grimes kind of character over someone like that who's more relatable, like to the human condition.
Absolutely. And it's sort of that thing where they're undercutting what's going on in the dialogue by having these background jokes. And
especially when they make no sense. I don't like when I first saw it, when she pulled the little ripcord and the veil dropped down, I'm like, okay, this guy's going to die, and then this woman's going to be all like flirting with Burns, and like he's going to become the new victim of her Black Widow plan. Cool, that's an interesting idea for an episode. Nope.
Yeah.
Doesn't even slightly happen.
Yeah, and I'm going to say what stands out to me, again, for worse, you should 3 for 3 on this one, is Mo's involvement with this episode, which is, I don't know where to start with Mo in this episode. Okay, let's start here. First of all, they really shine a light on the whole Midge-Marge thing, and it is just tedious.
Oh, yeah.
It really is. Like, Homer has that bit where he comes back into the bar and is like, oh, by the way, Mo, every time you say Midge, who are you talking about? Why, Marge, of course. And then he punches him and is like,
yeah, and
what?
then Marge is like, first of all, my name is Marge. And he's like, yeah, I don't know why I do that. And it's just, why are you shining a light on it?
Yeah, it doesn't make it better.
Yeah, it was so unnecessary to draw attention to it. Also, loved your Mo impersonation there, Elliot.
Thanks, Midge. Midgie Dockrill.
I was about to say it's
Sorry.
Midgie.
Yeah, and he's dancing. Oh my God.
Oh, how uncomfortable was that to witness?
Yep.
He's like, I only dance behind the bar. And
then
then it just kept going. I was like, oh.
And he's got this flailing river dance of like broken leg going on.
It's like Riverdance meets Gumby.
It was a mess.
Yeah.
Like he could have been doing tap or something. I don't know.
Yeah.
What?
And look, I guess this ties into the Nigel character as well, but the whole bet thing about it as well just sort of seemed to come out of nowhere. Was that just me? Like, it just, I'm going to break them up. Oh, I bet you can't. What?
Yeah, and again, I kind of like the idea that there's this rich man's game of, playing their lives against each other. Sure. And then also that Smithers then gets involved as a third party. Sure, that's an interesting bit, but they just don't stick to it in any meaningful way. Like, the guy's whole plan is, oh, here's a creep who likes Marge. I'm going to give him a better job, and that will surely win her over. So, why?
Yeah.
Why would that ever be your plan?
Yep, that made no sense.
And yeah, the Nigel was played by Michael York, returning again for The Simpsons. I think he's most familiar as Basil Exposition from Austin Powers.
Yes.
Just having a really good British voice.
Being Britishy.
Yeah, it's like him fucking...
Scones, tea, toodle pip.
And also playing his wife, girlfriend, Mrs. Butterworth, was Valerie Harper, who I think she's like had about 8 appearances on The Simpsons. She played Rhoda in the Mary Tyler Moore Show.
Okay.
And the spin-off Rhoda as well.
Rhoda.
Yeah. Play count. How many times have we seen this episode before today?
0.
0.
This is like my second time watching this one.
That's too many.
Yeah. Look, I watched this once for worst episode ever, and they were very positive on it. And
Really?
Yeah.
Ooh.
Again, like I said, I think you can be tricked into this one because like there are some jokes in there that do work and you can have some fun with it if you just take a scene as an isolated thing. But together as a whole, it just doesn't work.
Yeah, I think the point that they were making about it, that stylistically it's a pretty impressive episode, which I kind of agree with. All the stuff in Moho House, there's some great designs, and the soundtrack is, pretty good.
Yes, well, here at the Simpsons Index, we take substance over style.
Oh. Yeah, it's currently ranking at 113 out of 128 episodes. So yeah, on the least worst end of it.
Yeah.
Like, crazy.
Well, again, I think this one is deceptive like that. Because there are jokes I like. There's a bit where they're making the bet and they're like, okay, well, how about £5 million? Is that sterling or flesh? Oh, sterling this time.
Yeah. There was some good banter between him and Nigel and like Smithers going, do you need some help with that tea bag? No, I can talk to Nigel by myself.
Yeah.
Very good. So yeah, let's talk about some wackiness of this episode. Was this a particularly cartoony episode of The Simpsons?
Nothing immediately jumps out as hugely cartoony, just little bits and pieces.
There was a weird scene with Flanders at the window with the take me out to the ball game. That was a bit. And then Homer's in the background with a microwave on his head.
I don't blame him. Like, this is another one of these things that we run into when the characters start acting bored in the episode. It's like, that's not a good bit.
And again, it goes from, I don't want to go to the ball game with Flanders. He sings Take Me Out to the Ball Game, but always puts Lord on the end of every word. And then they do it in length.
Yeah.
Yeah, did
Flanders,
not need it.
that's your cue.
Did not need it. Also, that was a bit, felt like they were going to go to the ball game and do something there.
Yeah, I would have rather that they like did a smash cut to them at the ball game and then did their stupid song.
Yeah, that would have been more
Or if
interesting.
the song was just Flanders singing it in the background while the scene continued or something. It's just to stop, to explain a joke and then grind to a halt and show it to you.
Yeah. Yeah, the only line I liked out of it was like, give me some water because that is just fine.
Yeah.
Yeah, but also they're not Catholic. They wouldn't have communion wine, right?
They mesh together Christian and Catholic all the time in this. So.
Yeah, I don't know what religion is anyway.
Right
Right in, Jesus.
It's roughly all the same. Right in, Jesus.
Jesus, if you're watching.
Big fan. Sideshow Bob isn't in prison again.
Sideshow Bob Prison Watch.
Yeah, it's just, why is he out and then at a swanky hotel for celebrities?
Love it. Well, he is the most notorious most notorious non-killer.
Yeah.
Attempted murder. And now he's being an attempted socialite. Well, a successful one, actually.
Yeah, also there you go.
More successful than Renier Wolfcastle.
Anyone can attempt
was
to
pretty
be
funny.
something. God.
Oh, there was that wacky moment at the end when they did the summary and Mr. Teeny was like in the aquarium drunk and
Yeah, Krusty was fishing him out.
yeah, which was also Bit grim.
Yeah.
Did
Like,
he
is
just
he
die? Is
alive?
he drowning? I don't know.
Are we up to Mr. Teeny number 8? Yeah.
Fuck.
Yeah, and Patty and Selma have to be on oxygen now, according to that end scene.
Yeah.
And yeah.
There's a bit in the beginning where the Flanders letterbox crashes through the Simpsons window, and then Maggie comes out of the letterbox.
Yeah.
That
And I'm
was
like,
weird.
Was she supposed to already be in there, or did she get caught in it when it landed? Or yeah,
And the pile of Flanders's
letterbox
letterboxes,
size.
and there's one that was like Maud's arch. I was like, oh fuck.
Oh, yeah, and
That's
more
grim.
Flanders wackiness. That at one point he was dancing with his 2 dead ghost wives.
Oh
Yeah.
god, that was also fuck. This episode
yeah.
was heavy.
Yeah.
Left, right, and center. If they were like, oh, it's not dark enough, let's add some sadness
Yeah.
to it.
And it's also
real.
very weird every time they do that with Krabappel, because these are 2 very different reasons why those characters aren't around anymore.
Yeah.
In the event of Maud, it was because the actor left effectively, and they just like, okay, we'll kill her off as a plot point. But in terms of Miss Krabappel, Marshall Wallace died, and they kind of respectfully retracted that character. It's not respectful if you then bring them back for shitty sight gags.
Yeah, it's happened like 3 times now that we've noticed. And like, it's so disappointing because when we saw like how they sort of quietly killed her off with like just Flanders looking at a frame with the black armband, it was quite tasteful.
Yeah, it was enough to let you know this had happened, and it's canonical effectively, but they don't need to draw to it.
Yeah, and
They
now
don't need to kill her with a t-shirt cannon.
much less respectful. But yeah, now they're just implying that Flanders is in a happy polyamorous relationship with his 2 ghost wives.
Yeah, that was
So many
weird.
questions.
How about the heart of this episode? An episode about relationships on the rocks. How did we like the heart?
Felt nothing.
At the end with Homer's flip book, Why Do Birds Suddenly Appear played, I was like, oh, so cute.
Maddie, they got you. I'm sorry.
Got me.
This
They got
is-
me in the feels.
This is like a perfect metaphor for Homer in general. Oh, he doesn't make any change or do anything, but he played Birds Suddenly Appear and gives you a cute present, and you forgive him.
Women are not that complicated.
Apparently not.
Oh, I got to start learning how to draw and make some flip books. But I mean, I am totally with you. Like, I'm also with you too, BT. Like, on a technical level, the flip book isn't enough of a reason for Marge to be okay with this anymore. But fucking hell, they did land that scene. Like, that flip book was so cute.
So cute. And I think it was cute as well because earlier in the episode, a bit dumb, but they were like, oh, could you have had other women other than Marge? Which I also thought was very tacky and distasteful.
I know, they're like, well, you've tapped one melon and left the grocery store happy. Women are melons, by the way, in this metaphor.
Yeah, it was tacky. I was real. Anyway, he thinks back about a cartoon woman that he had drawn.
Yeah.
And then imagined that as a potential person to get with. So
Yeah.
even though I didn't like that, I kind of liked that flip book drawing element got brought into the end. Thought that tied in.
Yeah, vaguely. But I mean, he could have thought about Mindy or Lurleen.
I know.
or-
He's had heaps of other potential
Yeah,
bitches. Like, I don't know
he's-
what they're talking about.
And he's made that decision every time.
Yeah.
So it's not, oh, you've never even had the chance with another one. It's like, yes, he has, and he made the decision not to.
And I just double checked because we don't have that particular brand of syrup in Australia, which is in the shape of a woman.
Yep.
Apparently, that's called Mrs. Butterworth,
Yeah.
which was the name of Nigel's
Because they
girlfriend.
Because the writers of this could not think of other women.
Yeah.
That's how bad they are at writing women. They had to make them syrup.
They had to draw a stick figure and have syrup.
Speaking of other women, I just want to talk about Marge's hair.
Oh, yeah.
I was vibing it.
It was
Really
cool.
like the new haircut, just for a change.
Yeah,
really
it's
enjoyed
nice
it.
that she's wearing her hair down. She cut about fucking 2/3 of it as well.
Yeah.
Gosh. But that was only for the club, right? It's going to go back, right?
It was meant to be just for the club, yeah.
Yeah.
But again, there was kind of a weird moment where this club opens and like, it's only for the most exclusive celebrities, and then hard cut to them in the car driving, and they're all dressed up, and you're like, oh, I guess they're going to this place they just told us was not for them.
Yeah.
All right.
I guess they got an exclusive invite.
You can fill that blank in, but it just feels like something that should have been a scene because there could have been a conversation around that.
Oh, yeah, because especially if this is part of Nigel's plot, then he
Yeah.
wants them to be there.
Yep.
Yeah.
And again, episode edited like shit.
Yeah, and in this moment as well, I thought it really undercut Homer's whole apologetic nature having Lenny there. I know that's part of the joke, but also it's not improving the audience opinion of him, which is meant to be on his side because he genuinely got stuck in a hard position where a rich person that worked for his boss was coerced.
like, oh, you have to come out with me, otherwise I'll tell your boss and he'll be ever so angry at you. I'm British.
Yeah. And how can you say no to that British man?
You can't. That's like how they conquered most of the world. Like, hello there, we've just landed here and we would like to rule you with an iron fist.
Well, with that accent, why not?
So it says a lot about the heart that we're already off. But like, even I didn't really buy Mo's heart in this episode, his change of heart.
No, that was weird as well. Mo's entire presence as well as like a narrator at the beginning of the episode.
Something else I want to bring up. Yeah, he narrates like the opening scene was like, they do the Simpsons logo with the Simpsons. He's like, and fun fact, all those singers are dead now. And it's like, okay, so I guess we're going to have the whole thing narrated through Mo's perspective. Okay, that's a device. Nope, that only that one scene.
It's such a confusing opening because, and I double checked this in the research because I thought the perfectly legal file that I had was broken, that, this is the first episode of The Simpsons to open straight into the couch gag. And then they have the Simpsons as part of Mo's narration. It's so fucking confusing. Like, wonder if I took acid on this or something. And then Marge's hair has changed and then fuck.
It wasn't even an episode of The Simpsons. No. It's a new show.
No, it was an episode of Moho House. Ultimately, though, guys, did this feel like an episode of The Simpsons? Felt like I just answered that.
Man, it felt like an abstract painting of The Simpsons. Like the idea is there somewhere in this mess.
Yeah.
But the actual core of it, no.
Yeah, I feel like it tried to be an episode of The Simpsons.
Yeah, Homer and Marge's relationship, this is fairly familiar ground, and they tried to take it to a whole new level, but
I think they took it to a new level and it was dark.
Yeah.
And that's fine. There's an ambition there to do something new with the same formula we've kind of run several times, but they just didn't put it together properly.
Yeah, and part of what I was saying with like Mo's payoff, because it's always been sort of like an alluded to thing that Mo's got this unrequited love for Marge and sort of thing, but I didn't really buy his realizing that he shouldn't take another man's wife at the end. Yeah. Just sort of done together with that terrible slap together song. From the other guest star of the episode, Kevin Michael Richardson.
Yeah, the loyalty to the Homer friendship was really off because in other episodes he has crossed that line. So this isn't anything new. Like, I don't understand your all of a sudden newfound morality.
No, absolutely. And it's almost like the setup was there, but the payoff was just so slapped together.
Have Mo be like, hey, look, I'm a big success now. Why don't we, hook up? And she'll be like, no. And he's like, oh, I understand. It was never about me being successful. It was about you being with the right person. Oh, I've learned a lesson. I'm Mo.
Actually, you know what as well I want to point out? Mo invited Marge to Moho House alone under pretty it was a bit dodgy and implied, and she went. Yeah. So wonder what was going to happen there if he didn't change his mind.
What was in her mind?
Shit.
Yeah. Like, Midge, I need you to come to Moho House alone. And she's like, I'll do that.
And she'd, just had a nice evening previously and, got her hands around Mo and wasn't put off by his fucking flailing legs as they were slow dancing.
Listening to Moonglow.
Not the drug.
I did like that line.
Yeah.
And he opens the curtain and lets the moon blow
the
in.
song.
Yeah, that was actually a pretty good run of jokes.
Yep.
And the other character integrity I wanted to point out and throw it to you guys. What do you think about Mr. Burns and Smithers in this episode?
Creepy. It became like the pet relationship. That was weird. I felt like that was a new level.
It went both ways as well, didn't it? They were both each other's pet at one point.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's weird and did not come together at all in the slightest. Like, there's a bit at the end where, Smithers, having been pissed off that Mr. Burns basically used him as a gambling chip, Smithers is all like, it's good to be back. It's like, you never left.
Yeah.
You at no point ever did you leave. You cannot sigh and say it's good to be back if you never left.
Because even after he made him a gambling chip, he still played with his hair and molded into weird shapes.
That was creepy as well. His comment, those fingers.
And then Mr. Smithers feeding the pill to Mr. Burns with the
cheese. That was so uncomfortable.
Yeah, then he rubbed his throat to get the pill out. again, this is just another thing where I feel like with Mo and Midge and Homer, they were being so overt with these tropes that used to have some finesse.
Some subtlety, some suggestion, but no. And again, in an episode where it's all about relationships and arguably about the things you do for the people you care about, nothing feels impactful or meaningful or anything. Like, we barely even knew Smithers was angry about you being used as a gambling chip. There's only one scene where it's like, wait, you can't do that. Oh, yes, it's in your contract. Oh, I suppose you can.
Yeah.
That's about it. And there's a bit where later on he kind of tries to thwart the British dude's plan. He gave Homer some earrings to give to Marge.
Yeah, this wasn't for me. And it was sort of weird that they didn't reveal in that moment the tag with the happy 81st birthday.
Yeah, she just looks at it and goes, that's not from you.
Yeah.
It's like, how do you know, Marge? Do
Yeah.
you have the shinin? Segue to the ending of this where there's the Shining ending of a photo of Mo on the wall, Moho House, 1921. It's like, wait, this didn't open in 1921. It's like, that ending also doesn't make any goddamn sense.
Yeah.
Oh, and Barney's shinning. Oh, Mo's talking about me. Fuck, I am so sick of Simpsons doing the cut to a random character who has a shinning.
Yeah. I didn't mind that bit, but yeah, it's like they did their big sentimental ending and they're like, oh, wait, guys, we need a joke. What do we do? I don't know, reference The Shining? Brilliant, Jenkins.
Yeah.
It's like,
Promotion. You're in charge of the next episode.
congratulations, you're promoted to Smithers. Now let me mold your hair.
And yeah, what'd we think of Smithers convincing Burns that Nigel didn't exist all along?
So weird.
Fuck. Why?
Why did Nigel kiss Smithers at the end? What was that? I was like, oh, are they going to have a relation? What?
Mm-hmm.
That just came out of nowhere.
What did Nigel want the whole time, That's, ugh.
Yeah, because it's kind of implied that he wants Smithers to work for him because he's got a thing for him, but then it becomes really creepy then.
Yeah.
It's like, yes, I want to basically own your subordinate because I think he's cute.
Ugh. Blah.
Yeah.
Yes or no, would you watch this one again?
Probs not, eh?
Only to dissect it, to really get a good vivisection in there, pull its heart out and weigh it and, check all these things. I would love to deep dive this one, deconstruct it and use it as an example of what not to do.
Yeah, because there's a lot of forgettable new Simpsons episodes, but yeah, this will be a very interesting autopsy.
Yeah. I want to perform science on it. Literary science.
BT, what would you change about this one?
So many things. I kind of like the base premise of this rich man's game to break up a couple and they have their problems to begin with. There's something to be mined from that, especially then when Smithers comes in an extra player, because it's all about relationships and the things you do for them and the problems with them and the fact that even if you are happy, maybe occasionally you do think, what else is out there though? Is this the happiest I could possibly be? There's a lot there, and to do nothing with it and to just slap it together in a way that's not immediately obvious, but that doesn't work when you have such dark and deep and interesting themes that you gloss over with a flip book. Do something else, or maybe go with what I originally thought was going to happen. Have this rich guy show up to the plant with his Black Widow wife. He dies, and the Black Widow wife is like, oh, Monty, I'm ever so sad. Perhaps you'd like to marry me. And then there's a plot line about Mr. Burns maybe thinking about marrying this woman. There's something to get from that as well, but there's not there. Just remember what you're doing and stick to it and build on it and make something out of your foundation. I'm done.
How about you, Maddie? What would you like to change?
I'd like to take the darkness out of it.
Yeah.
I just found it so depressing, how trapped Marge is feeling in this relationship. And she's like, you need to change, you need to change, you need to change. He's never going to change, Marge. People don't change. You need to learn that about relationships. Move on. So I think she probably needs to accept Homer as how he is, and because she does love him how he is, that's part of Homer's character. He's forgetful and he's probably a shit husband in lots of ways, but also he has a lot of redeeming qualities. And I think it sounds a bit not great, but I think Marge needs to accept Homer how she is, because they're never gonna split up. The family unit's never gonna split up.
Yeah, why set up such a grim darkness?
Yeah.
If we're not going to, evolve the characters in any meaningful way,
Yeah.
And as for what I'd change, look, I think there is something to mine here, especially with Mo. I think maybe the story would have been more interesting if Mo was in on it, if he wasn't being played as a bargaining chip as well, because he's sort of unwittingly going through this. I feel like Nigel should have, sold Mo's involvement a bit on it as well, because it's just sort of weird. It's like, hey, I'll give you a fucking big expensive bar to run. And Mo doesn't really He just sort of happens to be going along with it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he doesn't question it.
Yeah, so I feel like that could have also led to a confrontation scene with Mo and Nigel where that would have sold Mo's redemption arc in this story as well. And I kind of agree, fucking just lighten it up a little. Like
I'm here to be entertained,
Yeah.
not feel depressed about my life.
Oh, and also there should have been a scene where Nigel told Marge, I kind of concocted this, I'm sorry, because that would have helped sell Marge's forgiving of Homer as well, because, these people are just sort of getting played and it doesn't feel meaningful at
No
all.
one really ever knows they're getting played.
Yeah. All right, we're here. BT, do you have any other notes?
I know, I burned through them all.
Nice. Maddie, do you have any other notes?
Oh, you know what? I would actually really like to read Barney's novel. Remember when he did his short film and that was so deep and artsy? I feel like his novel would be really one of a tortured soul.
The unfortunately named film, Pocahontas. Yep.
Yeah. And then what was his novel called? Sorry. Of the Time and Liver.
Yep. Oh, what was his second one after he got his shitting?
A tale
An Ale of Two
Cities.
Yep. Not bad.
And when Homer did the flip book, I liked the ending of the flip book where it said the end ? And then it did the Grace films. I thought that was quite funny.
Yeah. Yeah, even his flip book needed to be credited to Gracie Films.
I don't mean this to be as grim as it may sound, but I think I just found the design for your tombstone.
Gracie Films?
Yeah.
Well, it's been a grim episode, so I feel continue the morbid.
Just makes that sound as people walk past.
Yeah. It's on like a trigger like those talking fish.
Yeah, sprays of mist as well.
My final note time.
Now it's time for his final notes. Elliot's final notes.
Homer had a couple of I'm home moments where he's like, were the flowers a metaphor for something? Honey, metaphor? Yeah. And when he got the cocktail that was all maraschino cherries.
Yeah. And then I kind of like when he's like, they don't charge for extra cherries.
Yeah, I
It's
did kind of
kinda-
like that.
yeah.
And then
Yeah.
I like how they look over and he's got his watch caught in the woman's hair.
Yeah, and there's a moment of, I'm definitely going to win this bet, no matter what.
Yeah, good way to sell it. That Homer can have the most beautiful women in the world hitting on him, and he'd still
Yep.
fuck it up.
Yep.
I thought there was a really sweet moment where Marge is panning around the city and sees Police Chief Wiggum got a big box of jewelry evidence for Sarah. Yeah,
Yeah.
they're gonna have a nice night. Oh, that was the other obvious Homer blur moment. Look, I can change. I'm eating a carrot.
That was
And
gross.
he pulls it out of his nose and throws it. Yeah.
Yeah, again, lots of moments of characters eating things that they don't want to. I liked when he took his beer to go and he made a little foil swan out of it. That was
that was
cute.
nice.
Mo made reference to his talking bar rag.
That was weird.
Do you know about this episode, Maddie?
No.
Mo goes from rags to riches.
Yeah, one of our big fucking massive failure episodes.
Really? It
where-
sounds awful.
Yeah,
already.
Mo's rag narrates his story about how he got to Mo's bar, and he was woven from a fabric made of possessed sheep, and he went through the ages. Yeah, it's a fucking crazy bad episode.
Wow.
Which wastes Jeremy Irons as a guest star.
Yeah.
Sorry, Jeremy Zion.
Nice. Mo busting into Moho house going, rah! Sorry, force of habit.
Yeah, because he's like, he's one of those people wanted for any haunted house. It's like,
Oh, I liked though when he was confiding in Sideshow Mel, and Mel's like,
Yeah.
"Why are you talking to me?" He's like, "Oh, I don't know. I thought we were friends."
Yeah. Yeah, because he's doing like the fourth wall break, and then, they cut to a different angle, and he was talking to Sideshow. I really like that too. This is one of the very few episodes where Lisa does not have a single line of dialogue.
Oh my god, she
True.
didn't.
Yep.
Bart had one line.
Yep, Bart only had one line as well.
Poor Nancy, probably
Yeah.
money pits trying up.
Yeah. It's just sort of surprising that, because she was there, Lisa was there.
Yeah.
Like, Marge's text notification is the same as my notification for Uber Eats. So, yeah.
You're like, oh, I didn't remember ordering food.
Yeah, I kept looking at my phone and expecting, I don't know, sushi or something to start coming, but it didn't. And I was disappointed. So that's a tick against this episode.
and now I want sushi.
And, the supermarket clerk with her obvious, I used to be a psychiatrist, but I got fired for prescribing too few meds.
Our health system's fucked.
Yeah, I'm trying to push this microphone through my eye right now.
True, audience, he is. But he loves that microphone.
It's like a cat when you want attention.
My face is itchy.
Oh, love me.
Oh, I was around my lady friend's house the other night, and like her cat was rubbing against my foot, and like I'm kind of ticklish, and like I kind of flinched a little bit, and then it's just fucking latched on and just fucking
Yes.
slammed into my toes, and then I accidentally kicked it into a table.
Wow, you just became like a Ben Stiller movie.
And my final note is I really didn't like Kevin Michael Richardson's songs in this, especially the one that's like, they're back together, now the episode is over, except for this tag.
Yeah.
It's time to rank this thing. On the Simpsons Index, we rank using our 6-point scale, which starts down the bottom at failure. Maybe if the episode was just smeh, you give it participant. But for the positive rankings, you got okay, bronze, good silver, excellent gold. But for the best of the very best, you give cubic zirconia. Now let me go first. Let me show you how it's done. I'm gonna give it a participant just, and I'm bumping up from a failure because stylistically it was good. There are some good elements, some good jokes, but fuck, I was close. Maddie, what do you reckon?
I'm doing participant as well. Like, I've seen failures, and, this at least had a logical plot point. So
Yep.
I'll give them that. I think they really redeemed that.
All right, and BT, finish it off.
Fail.
Whoa!
I hate this one. And it's, again, it's subtle and it's in the wings. And I definitely agree that compared to some failures, this isn't the atrocious mess, but it's just beneath the surface. And if you go there, you can see just the filth. So in the pit, go to hell, you bastard.
Oh, Jesus. That is a damning review, sir.
Yeah. Well, man, I might do it the old, embrace of death. Give it a hug and then it pulls away and there's a knife in its heart.
Do you see the rabbits?
Do you see him, blue eyes?
Just going to quickly see what other participants we've got. What's Bart's new friend?
Where Homer reverts back to a kid.
Like, is he still Homer, or does he,
He's Homer,
like,
but
Freaky
he's
Friday kind of buddy
Kinda,
swap?
his brain goes back to being 10 years old and he starts hanging out with Bart and they have a good time, but there's no conflict and it just doesn't matter.
Oh, I was going to say, it sounds kind of cute.
It was a good idea and it just didn't do anything with it. Like, there's no conflict for him to go back or to stay. Like, there's no moment of, I want to be a 10-year-old kid because it's fun, but these people who say they're my family say they need me. I guess there's nothing of that. It's just, okay, I'm going back to being an adult now. Bye. It's like, oh, okay.
And so, yes, this will be a dull participant, and it'll be joining other dull participant like Bart's new friend. Also, yokel chords that we reviewed with you, Maddie. That was the
when they, with the Krusty and the,
Cletus and the, what is
Sound
it?
of Music parody.
Yeah, Sound of Music one. Also from season 28, 22 for 30, that's the Bart basketball documentary one.
Yeah.
The Great Fatsby Part 1. And Havana Wild Weekend, which was the first season 28 episode we reviewed, where they go to Cuba again.
Yeah.
Again.
Yeah.
I want to go to Cuba. The Simpsons have been twice. I've been none.
I know, it looks really nice.
And also from season 30, The Girl on the Bus that we reviewed in our season 30 Wasteland. Yeah, where Lisa meets a new friend and it's
nothing
bad.
matters.
Nothing really happens. Oh, except that Bart gets a club in his room for no particular reason.
Oh, yeah. How do we resolve this episode? I don't know. Bart opens a nightclub in his room? Of course. You're hired, Jenkins.
Yep.
That's how he got the job. Later on, we heard how he got promoted.
And also Pranks and Greens, which we reviewed the other week, where Jonah Hill is a prankster that's more radical than Bart.
Radical.
Yes. And now a new segment that I'm going to introduce on this because
What? It's been 130 episodes.
now
Time for a change. Keeping it fresh.
Yeah. You always surprise me.
now we're going to see, I'm going to add the score into the overall season 28, and we're going to see where season 28 is ranking on the overall, collating all the scores of the episodes.
The season index.
Yep. So the season 28 is still ranking as a dull participant overall.
All right.
So yeah, this episode just sort of really rode the average on the whole thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Not surprising. All right. Now, before we move on, is that reputation justified?
Exit spite, good or shite, let's decide. A reputation justified. Yeah!
Yeah, baby.
That was incredible.
Thank you. We've been doing new songs. It's fun.
And don't forget, Metallica will be touring Australia with Slipknot later in the year.
Fun fact, I won't be doing that song at the concert.
Dennis Perkins of the AV Club.
Dennis the Wildcard Perkins.
He gave this episode a B+.
Of course
Fuck
it is.
off, Dennis. Are you kidding?
So this is like silver territory for the AV Club.
Jesus.
Writer Jeff Martin knows this world like the back of his five-fingered hand. Having penned some genuine classics in his day, true, his one foray back into the show after a few decades' absence didn't quite reach those heights, but it came close. And just for the record, do you guys remember we reviewed how Lisa got her Marge back? Where Marge and Lisa are fighting. Marge didn't really like Jazz the whole time.
Oh, yeah, that was terrible.
Yeah. So that was the first one that he wrote when he came back after, a long absence. So,
Okay.
Should have stayed gone.
oh, Jesus.
Just kidding. But not really.
Whatever pit they dug you out of, they should have left you there.
But, I mean, he's right. He did pen some classics back in the day, like Three Men in a Comic Book.
Oh,
Oh,
wow.
I like that one.
Yep. The Auto Show, Streetcar Named Marge.
Oh, that
Wow.
one's so good.
Lisa the Beauty Queen.
Wow.
Oh, I love that one.
That's an amazing episode.
Lisa's First Word and Homer's Barbershop Quartet.
Oh my God. How the mighty have fallen.
Yeah. A lot of the musical episodes as well.
Yeah, and a lot of the Lisa Hart episodes. It's surprising.
Yeah, Lisa the Beauty Queen is like in my running for best episode ever.
Wow.
Really? I mean, I really like it too.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, it was one that, I think took us all by surprise with how good it was when we reviewed it.
so good.
All right, guys, it's time we move on to the teens era now, and we're going to season 16. On a clear day, I can't see my sister. We'll be back.
Hey there, Blimpy boy.
Flying through the sky so fast.
And we are back, and we just watched our teens era episode, which was season 16, episode 11, On a Clear Day I Can't See My Sister. First released in March of 2005, it was directed by Bob Anderson, written by Jeff Westbrook. In this episode, Bart takes it one step too far finally, and Lisa gets a restraining order out on him, and in the B story, Homer becomes a sprawl mart greeter. What do we think?
Yeah, it's fine.
It was a bit meh.
Yeah.
It was bizarre.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I had some fun with the jokes of this, even though I could realize this is a very ridiculous story.
Yeah, but we've embraced ridiculous stories. That's fine.
Like
I can live with that.
Yeah, I was gonna say I just feel like I've seen worse, and it like this isn't great.
Yeah.
This is far from great. This is far from okay.
But does it offend you or bother you?
Yeah, I don't feel strongly about it.
No, certainly not.
All right, well, let's hook into it and get into the madness of it all. BT, for better or worse, what's a moment that stands out to you from this episode?
Gary Busey's cameo.
That's what I was
I
gonna
think
say.
that
He
was
fucking
actually...
led into the skid, didn't he?
I think that's great. I think it's going for it, especially when they're watching the video. It's like, hi, I'm Gary Busey. Welcome to you and your restraining order. Now, let's watch this video.
Yeah.
Yeah, look, there's not a whole lot to say about it. It was a good cameo. It was well done. I got some laughs out of it. And nicely done, Gary, you freaking weirdo.
Yeah. But yeah, he knows his brand now.
Yeah, exactly.
So good. And I like at the end how he's like, this was actually about me. And
Yeah.
Mary was a compilation of 12 different women.
Yeah.
And one small film independent company. I wonder if the script just said manic laughter.
Yeah.
Or just that was just something he did.
I gotta say though, for a show where every character has a prominent overbite, I kind of wish they gave him more of one because, yeah, he's got like the world's best real world overbite.
Sure. All the overbite.
He's an orthodontist stream.
Yeah. Yeah, both the courts and the dentist go cha-ching.
Just money for days on that Busey dollar.
And while we're here as well, the other guest star for the episode was Jane Cax-Merrick, who was the mother in Malcolm in the Middle, and in this episode she was playing Judge Constance Harm.
And she had one line.
Yep. So yeah, she became a reoccurring character in the teens era, and yeah, sort of like a Judge Judy stand-in.
Yeah, she's a nice balance to Judge Schneider.
Yeah, definitely. Because Judge Snyder's always been a bit easier.
Yeah, he's very Hibbert-esque.
Yeah, very boys will be boys. Sorry, the clown is down.
Yeah.
Yeah, she did well. And again, joining my line of celebrities with very easy to say first name, impossible last name. So yeah, I want to cast a movie with Jane Kaczmarek, John Krasinski, and Jane Krakowski.
Reading Bukowski?
Yes. Maddie, what's something that stands out to you from this episode?
Well, I guess the other thing that kind of stood out to me...
Sorry to steal
You
your fun.
stole my thing. I'm sorry. Oh, okay.
Everybody wants Busey.
That's just really good. Okay. I'm so sorry.
Says a lot. It says a lot about this episode.
Fuck.
That's all right.
Okay, what about I liked when Chief Wiggum had all three of them in the jail, like
Yeah.
Bart,
Oh, yeah.
Snake, and Lou. He's like, see what happens when you violate your restraining order?
Yes.
Snake, do you see what happens when you kidnap the president?
Yeah.
Lou, do you see what happens when you bring back my coffee cold?
Yeah, I thought it was a lame joke, but you ordered an iced coffee. But
I said nice coffee. Yeah.
that
But
was,
the bit
you
itself.
got me.
I like that. Yeah, I like that run of jokes. Yeah, overall, nothing really stood out in worse or better. It was,
Yeah.
it's just such a meh episode, eh?
Yeah.
Beige.
Well, one of the reasons I brought this one for you today because this was a slight continuation of the Skinner Krabappel breakup.
Yeah, I didn't like that beginning bit at all where
No.
Skinner's like still trying to hit on Krabappel and then
And for something they really lean into at the beginning, it goes away completely.
yeah, you
Yeah.
think that's going to go somewhere and it doesn't. And instead they've got two teachers making out on a field trip, which is just highly inappropriate for the children.
There's some more implied inappropriateness when, the park ranger goes to save Lisa who's drowning and he's then putting on his pants and suspenders and then doesn't go to save her.
Hey, she's walking on the glacier.
Yeah,
she
that's
can't
right.
drown. It didn't melt.
I do like as well, though, when Bart makes a joke of, oh, the frog's got a nut on its butt, and
Yeah.
the ranger laughs as well.
Yeah. Always great when the responsible adult is getting in on the bullying as
Yeah.
well.
I'd totally be that teacher. If I was a teacher, I'd be like, oh, that was pretty funny.
Yeah.
Good one, kids. Continue your bullying.
Yeah, and Bart once again doing his classic bit of using a walkie-talkie and
Yeah.
having someone make it. These sounds are not coming from me. Not the same bit, but anyway, y'all know what I'm talking
Yeah, a
about.
bit weird that Lisa didn't, notice and do anything about it, but whatever.
Yeah, she just kept saying toxic emissions and vapors and all that stuff.
Yep.
So yeah, the Skinner Krabappel thing. Yeah, the culmination of it is Krabappel making out with the ranger and Skinner like getting back at her by making out with a mummy.
That was gross.
Yes,
Yeah.
it was.
That was gross.
And also somehow thinking that would be a good idea.
This is such off-model Skinner in this.
Yeah.
Like, first of all, calling himself the Skin Man earlier in the episode.
Love makes you crazy, but it don't make you that stupid.
Yeah, for real.
Actually, if anyone needed a restraining order, it would have been Edna against Skinner.
Yes.
Jesus, there's your bloody episode.
Yeah, her boss is all like, I love you, let's continue our relationship after you've clearly said no.
Totes and approach.
Yeah. Oh, there's so much creepiness going on there.
Yes.
And as if she'd want him back now that he's made out with a... What's the word
A
I'm looking for?
mummy. A deceased corpse.
A preserved a human pickle.
Desiccated? No.
No.
Decrepit?
Desiccated coconut.
Dilapidated? No, that's a house.
Well, as we learned
A
from the previous
fixer-upper.
episode, all Skinner really needs to do is have a flip book.
Yeah, that's right.
So,
And some music.
yep. Birds suddenly appear in a flip book.
Just a little bit of sentimentality to show they care.
Just a little bit. I only just noticed on this point as well, the whole thing starts was like, oh, it's welcome to 3 a.m. We're going to go see this glacier. It's like, why were you going that early in the morning?
Yeah,
I
very.
guess glaciers aren't time sensitive.
Well, they are when
I
they're
mean-
melting.
Yeah.
Have you seen?
Ma'am, they are not melting. The position of the U.S. government is that this is a fine glacier and it's just taking a rest.
Fucking depressing. This was, goddamn, almost 15 years ago now.
And we fixed the problem.
Yeah.
Everything's fine now.
Glaciers are, as they always were. Ice sheets are perfect.
Glacier is just malt. It's a thing that's happening.
Oh, dear. Play count. How many times before today have you seen this episode?
I think maybe like 2 or 3.
Yeah.
I've also possibly seen it the tunts or the fronts.
Yeah, I weirdly remember the Homer stuff more than I remember the Bart Lisa stuff.
Yeah, it seems like so much more fun, and then it doesn't go anywhere.
Yeah, I love all the Walmart stuff, and yeah, leading into the wackiness of this episode, fuck, I love it when, what will the people do without a greeter?
Yeah, that was so good. The one lady just taking shit out of her purse mindlessly. I'm like,
Yeah.
so
the other guy
lost.
just walking into a wall.
Yeah, like he was in a video game.
Yeah,
And
like a sim when you remove the door. So good. Yeah, I feel like there could have been something more with that B plot, eh? Like maybe Grandpa got jealous that Homer took his job and then something.
Yeah.
Especially for a job that Homer doesn't actually need. Like, it's not like he got a better career. He just kind of fell into it and was doing it for shits and gigs.
Yeah, and again, talking about stories that don't culminate into anything, it just sort of ends with them get like a massive lock-in, but then it's okay because they just steal shit and that's that story over.
And that didn't make sense. He just drove the forklift with all the TVs out of the
I know.
door. Did he come back? I don't know.
And as someone in charge of safety at my place of work, Homer does not have a forklift license.
Are you sure about that?
Pretty sure.
I
On
don't
all
know.
his jobs, he's never gotten a license
You
to drive a
don't know.
forklift.
Maybe he does it when we're not watching
And I
him.
don't think he was wearing a safety vest either. I don't
Oh,
think his
dear.
seatbelt was on. It's nighttime. He didn't have the forward-facing lights.
Wait, they have seatbelts in forklifts now?
Yeah, man. It's the first thing you do. If you get on the forklift and you start it before putting your seatbelt on, immediate fail on the test.
Wow.
Yeah.
Oh, I thought because they roll so easy that...
They keep you in the seat so you don't die if it rolls.
Oh, fair enough.
Forklift safety, everybody. Take it
I
seriously.
didn't know they rolled.
And now
Yeah,
you know.
oh yeah. Because, yeah, especially when the thing is up, they can be super top heavy.
Very susceptible to rolling. Something
Yep.
about forklifts I did not know.
Yep. Forklifts, four-wheel drives, if it starts with a 4 and it's a vehicle, it's going to topple. Like a what do they call them? Quad bikes.
Yeah, that's why I was
Quad's
thinking.
another word for 4.
Yeah. They thought they could get away with their Latin.
4-bike.
Yeah, but again, it's such a stupid plot point, but I did love the scene of everybody stealing shit. The
Yeah.
guy shoving
Yeah.
golf clubs down his pants. And
Yeah, someone's just got a puppy who's just like tucking in
Yeah.
their jacket.
oh, and earlier in the episode, like, yeah, the Walmart, of course, being a bulk store, they had like a pyramid of puppies that were just all staying there. It's like, yeah, good boys.
They're all good boys, Elliot.
So yeah, other cartoony moments of this episode?
The Simpsons have a river in their backyard now?
Yep.
That entire scene in the background with Bart becoming like one with the animals, that was very cartoon wacky.
Yeah, and I had to show you guys a video after this because it's kind of surprisingly timely. There's been a video recently that's been doing the viral rounds of, yeah, a woman that does exercise by trotting like a horse or a dog or whatever way you want to look at it. And yeah, just had to make sure y'all were up to speed on that. I'll put a link in the description because it's super funny.
She
It
does
is
like
weird.
the show jumping in her
Yeah.
living room over like she like sets up these height obstacles that
And
she
is
jumps
good
over.
at it as
It's
well.
freakishly good. I kind of want to go home and see how well I can do it.
Predicting badly, but you do you, Maddie.
You know, you're going to play hockey later, try to convince, you know, half the team become the horses and turn it into a game of polo.
Sorry guys, can't come to the game today. I've got to go home and practice show jumping.
But yeah, that woman has such a great canter. And yeah, the way that Bart was running in this just reminded me so much of that.
Yeah, she
Yeah.
has a very straight back when she does.
Yeah.
Oh, she's very good at it, but it always falls back to why.
How?
Mm,
How did you start? How did you uncover this talent?
yeah. And also, why did the episode feel it needed to do this late in the game? Like, because it doesn't really tie into the end as well when Bart sort of...
Yeah, it's meant to be Lisa sees him going kind of feral, but that doesn't really change her opinion of anything. It's only
Yeah.
when he makes what she thinks is a statue honoring her, but ends up being an effigy.
Yeah, I thought that was really egotistical that she's like, oh, he's making a statue of me. I forgive him now. I was like,
Yeah.
oh, God, that's a bit wanky, Lee.
Yeah.
Yeah. Did you guys buy that ending as well? Like,
No.
I like the line, I missed your lies.
yeah,
But,
I liked that too.
Yeah, but there were other ways to do this.
but yeah, the bullies' involvement again, they're one of my big gripes of the teens era. Oh my God, she's here. It's an effigiest's worst nightmare.
Did you find it weird that they were in the library as well? When
Yeah.
Bart, they're at the cafe at the library.
Just
I
because
was like,
they
what's
laugh when he gets poked into the gay interest section.
Yeah, that montage, that was like a perfect 3 things that I liked, nothinged, and hated. Yeah, the bookstore thing, I nothinged. The pizza thing where he's out in the rain and it slides off into
Yeah.
the sewer, loved that. But him on the trolley behind the bus, it's too much.
Yeah.
Especially because I kind of liked Lisa, you know, poking him with that broom, fishing pole, baseball bat with the screwdriver on the end.
Especially when she's trying to come into the kitchen, he's like, ow, I can at least finish my milk, and just knocks it over.
Yeah.
And again, the fact we don't see Lisa, we just see the prodding stick, it makes it funnier.
Yeah, Homer, why'd you put the screwdriver on the end?
Teach you what it's like in the real world.
That's a good explanation for virtually anything.
Ooh,
Yeah.
Good, yeah.
Again, there's so many mixed moments in this. Any other cartoony things that stood out to you?
I do like when Bart has to start learning in Willie's shack, and he's like, what's that smell? And something's dripping on me. The smell is manure, and the dripping is manure.
And I like as well, he's like, and we're starting at chapter 1. He's like, but we're up to chapter 12 in class. Well, then you'll be teaching Willie.
Yeah.
There's a great bit at the beginning where the roads are very icy and Skinner's like, oh, no, it's fine. We'll get the chains out. And the kids are just pulling the bus with chains.
Yeah, but again, they fucking went one beat too far with Uda going, this is just like Fitzcarraldo.
Yeah.
That movie was flawed. Punch. What? Isn't Uda dead as well? Whatever.
We just want Uda.
We just want some closure. One bit I did actually quite like is when Bart's doing the fart noises across the walkie-talkie, and then Wiggum's like, hey, get off this channel. We're searching for a dead body. It's like, let him have his fight. And then they do the classic horror movie thing, blood dripping from above. Like, oh my God.
Yeah, and cut back to the other end of the walkie-talkie with Bart. That used to be a face.
Yeah, it's a good little big build with like a little subtle bit.
Yeah.
I like that, yeah.
Underplayed is what I'm going for there.
Kind of reminded me of Mushface from Tuca and Birdie. Have you seen Tuca and Birdie yet, Maddie?
No, I haven't.
So good. It's on Netflix.
It's a weird watch, but pretty good.
Did you ever watch BoJack Horseman? Or
You know, I never really got into BoJack, but I feel like maybe I could have.
I feel like
don't know.
Tuca and Birdie is the BoJack show for people that may not have gotten into BoJack.
I feel like it's weird, so it's probably going to be harder to crack.
Well, yeah, the intro does start with big tits on a building. So.
Why? Why does the building have tits? It bothers me so much.
The plants also have
Is
tits.
it the two, like the bird one? Is that the one you're talking about? Oh, is that the one with Ali Wong?
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, so it's good?
Oh, I love it. I've almost watched it twice through now.
I love Ali Wong. I love her stand-up.
Yeah, I've been hearing good things about her new show, Always Be My
movie?
Maybe. Yeah.
You know what? Next rom-com night, that's what I'm doing.
Yep.
While I'm show jumping in the living room. What an exciting night I've got ahead of me.
Yeah, quite the life there, Maddie.
Living the dream.
And the other wacky thing I wanted to say was the no cliche when Homer turns it into gnomes.
Oh, yeah, that whole gnome thing at the beginning, that just...
That was
just
for me, it was bad joke after bad joke. And so, oh, Grandpa, you're so shriveled now. And he's holding up and you're like,
Yeah, but weirdly, like the bit where it's like, I'll miss your red hat and your cane and your bass. And then he fights, I'm down here. Where's your bass?
Yeah.
Yeah, I like that too.
Weirdly that I like the second bite more.
Yeah.
But it happens.
Yeah, it's a weird thing. Like, often the second bite's the thing we're complaining about.
The other little bit of wackiness I also want to mention is when it's like, from now on, you have to stay 200 feet away from your sister. And everyone's like, oh, and then she goes, that's 61 meters. And there's like a collection of just countries that use the metric system going, oh.
Yeah. But it's funny because Americans are the minority. It's like them and one African country that still use imperial.
Yes.
So how about the heart of this episode? Did you guys feel any bumps?
I mean, I should have, and I guess that's part of the problem. It resolves so quickly and for no other reason than you made a statue. No, you didn't. I love you, Liz. Welcome back.
The bit that probably got me the most was when Lisa's trying to think of nice things Bart did for her. And she goes, oh, he did try to cheer me up that one time when my hamster died. And it's Bart and Lisa when they're little, and Bart's trying to cheer her up by pranking Homer. And I kind of, I like that childhood connection. Like, they're still kids. Like, they're still... can do that for one another, build those memories.
Yeah.
Well, there are a lot of great examples of them getting along that end up being a lot of fun. So
Yeah.
It sort of felt weird to me that Lisa hung on. He hasn't done one nice thing, and especially when they do the childhood flashback and I'm sort of remembering Lisa on ice.
Yeah.
Where, she's crying and Bart pushes the ice cream
on top.
I feel, stop, I'm getting goosebumps just thinking about that. Yeah, I feel like that could have been an opportunity to do that. And then instead she saw the statue and was like, that's the third nice thing. I was like, ugh.
Yeah. And the other problem I had with that flashback is that it was more about Homer again taking that second and third bite of the joke.
Quite literally.
Yeah. Yeah. Any other heart moments?
That's the thing. There should be one at the end because she goes from why is three nice things the thing that's going to make her forgive him? Surely it should be a realization that you do like him even though there's all these problems, or him showing some kind of respect, or much like the first episode we watched, he doesn't really do anything or change in any regard. And then it's just like, oh, but I forgive you. Welcome back to the house.
Yeah, I kind of thought it was weird how she was like, oh, I have been a bit of a pill.
Yeah.
And it's like, I mean, yes, you have been, Lisa.
It was an extreme reaction, but it wasn't unwarranted.
I feel like her vengeance could have been funnier.
Yeah.
Like maybe some elaborate kind of plot to get him back and give him a taste of his own medicine. But like, I thought it was funny when Bart was at the judge and he's like, but Judge, my sister has no sense of humor. And I'm kind of like, she doesn't.
Yeah.
Some of the things he does are pretty funny. Like, if I was watching him, I would also laugh. Like I said, I'd be the national parks guard having a giggle, being like, good one, kid.
Look, it's sort of this thing where Bart, sort of being, by virtue of being the older sibling, has the upper hand in these situations. And then when Lisa is given some hand, or in this case, a pole, she does take advantage of it. And she does make his life miserable. And I felt like there was an unexplored area of that too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, like she got like a little bit sadistic mean.
Yes.
Whereas Bart's not a mean kid. He's just naughty.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's always a joke to be had there.
Yeah. And that's his character.
So ultimately, though, did this feel like an episode of The Simpsons?
I mean, kids fight, Homer gets a new job, sure.
Yeah, a little bit. I think definitely still feeling like The Simpsons, but just like a episode of The Simpsons.
Yeah, they just don't know what to do with it.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we've got like a framework that's going on, and it feels a bit paint by numbersy. And I will say, like, as far as character integrity goes, I mean, Homer has occasionally alluded to a secret musical prodigy, being a secret musical prodigy. He can play marimba now.
Yeah, that was funny when Bart was outside in the backyard and he's like, I bet they're missing me at least. And there flashes to inside the house and they're having a jazz band jam.
Yeah, just playing some good old Dixieland, and Marge is fucking shredding the trumpet.
Yeah, who knew Marge could play the Actually, now that you bring that up, gosh, she could have a little side career. I guess the kids are quite talented.
Yeah.
Like, Bart had that drumming episode.
Yep. Wasn't that great at guitar, but he could do the drums. What was the other instrument? Because there was a third one, and we did it recently. Oh, piano. He wasn't good at piano.
That's right.
He faked being good at piano because every piano has a CD drive that you can just put a CD in. Again, this is Maddie's looking at me very confused right now.
I was like, oh, that sounds logical.
Yep.
Logical for a Simpsons HD.
Dislike that episode.
But, I mean, besides Skinner as well, that was a pretty bad character integrity break. I think everybody else was pretty on point, though.
Yeah.
Get some Wiggum Lou shenanigans, and it's actually fun shenanigans.
Yeah.
I liked the Wiggum Lou dynamic of this episode, even though it was only two things.
It was enough. There was a little break to go, and what are Wiggum and Lou up to?
So good.
Waka waka.
Oh, yeah, and then when Wiggum is giving the restraining order, I remember there was a good joke there.
Oh, I don't make the rules. I just...
yeah.
Something
them. Oh, yeah, and then the name of the video was Get Out of My Dreams and Also My Car.
Yeah, that was good.
Actually, speaking of music, though, that montage, I forgot to mention, the teens era of Simpsons had a really big habit of using super on-the-nose musical choices. Maybe they just had an extra bit of money to work with, and so we got a little bit of the Police in this one.
Oh, yeah, don't stand so close to me.
Oh,
the way I feel about everyone constantly.
I thought you were going to say the classical music montage at the end.
Oh, yeah. Over when Bart was going feral, which...
Weird to have classy music during feralness.
It's a juxtaposition.
I kind of liked that as a episode/character choice of Bart. I thought that was really on point with the integrity. Like, here's Bart and his solution could be to change or to apologize or, I don't know, something. And then instead he finds like option C, which is to kind of adapt to his surroundings and find a new life, which
feral
is
with a pack of dogs.
To be feral. And like, I feel like that's very Bart, like very wild, very go with the flow kind of. All right, well, here we are. Let's just go with this then.
Yeah, especially what you said about finding an option C. It's like, nah, how about I don't do those things and I do my own thing?
Yeah.
And I just had to look it up because I've been weirdly speaking about Malcolm in the Middle a lot on the podcast recently.
I love Malcolm in the Middle. Come on.
It's a landmark show.
Oh, honestly, one of my favourite sitcoms of all time. And there's an episode where Reese starts running with a pack of dogs. And I love it. At one point, he's like, where do we go next, dogs? And then they all roll over and he's like, you're making me the alpha? Oh, and then when Malcolm's like hoses him and then he shakes off like, oh, it's so good. Anyway, that episode came out a month before this episode.
Oh, really?
So I was wondering if one had stolen from the other, but no, there's just no way. They both came up around the same
Oh
time.
my
Wow.
God,
And
that's
that-
even weirder.
And they're both Fox shows as well,
Yeah.
so that's...
And that actress is there going, God, this is familiar.
Oh shit!
Oh,
'Cause
right.
I forgot Malcolm was on the same time as this because obviously Malcolm was so long ago now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Fuck, this episode, what, 10 years old?
14. Yeah.
Far out.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Now
that's
I
right.
feel old.
Way before Bryan Cranston had broken bad. And
God, wasn't even selling drugs then.
I hadn't even thought of it. He was like, drugs? No, of course not.
Just living his cancer-free life.
oh, fuck. Oh, I want to do a rewatch of Malcolm in the
Can
Middle.
we do
It's so
a
good.
Malcolm in the Middle podcast?
Malcolm in the Middle Index, where we watch the whole thing.
And they're all great.
I know. I don't know if that show ever declines. So.
Oh God, how good's the scene? They're in the golf cart and they
Yeah.
like fucking let loose on
Yeah.
Hal's family. Oh, I love that scene. And then they're
Yes.
just all in the golf cart, like sinking in the pool.
That's right, because it's they made Mom cry.
That was like-
we make Mom cry.
Yeah, that was like the epitome of that. I think the show.
No, again, because it was just one of those shows that I think 8, 9 seasons, 7 maybe. 7. That it just went out exactly at the right time, and
Didn't overstay its welcome. Didn't
Yeah.
burn out.
and had one of the most satisfying finales of any
Oh,
sitcom.
how good was the finale? And they're like, yeah, you're going to be president.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah. And
Yeah.
Dewey becomes, king of Winterfell.
I get that now. Yes or no, would you watch this episode again?
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't avoid if it's on.
If it was on, I wouldn't go out of my
No.
way and be like, oh, I really feel like watching that episode of The Simpsons.
Yeah, I'm definitely doing something else at the same time. I'm folding laundry, I'm playing Switch, I'm practicing my major scales.
On your marimba.
My marimba, of course. So, yeah, we might watch it again. It probably might be nice to pair this up with another episode or two. What playlist would this go in?
Bart and Lisa moments. I put it with Lisa on ice, but actually, to be honest, I
get
wouldn't want to put it. I wouldn't want to put it with Lisa on ice because it's like, it's shit. It's a bit meh. Like I wouldn't want to watch that and then watch this after. I'd be like,
Yeah, it needs a buffer episode
this
for
is a
sure.
waste. Yeah.
Like, here's gourmet and here's cat food. In the same meal together at last. Technically edible.
Yeah.
Not even like a gourmet cat food and an off-shelf cat food.
I mean, assume it's good cat food.
Yeah.
But,
I mean, they say it's fancy feast, but it's...
it's hardly a feast. It's one tub.
Again, I hesitate to say Skinner and Krabappel because this doesn't really add a good dimension to that, but Homer jobs.
Grandpa jobs.
True.
Let's go with the one where he's trying to get his youth back and works at a Krusty Burger.
Oh yeah, I like that one.
Yeah.
Do we sell French fries?
Ever seen a hamburger that can take a bite out of you?
Classics.
And the Sprawl Mart, that comes up a couple of times in The Simpsons. I don't remember if it's in good episodes, though.
Probably not.
Nope.
Although I do like they have a sign that says Sprawl Mart, not associated with Walmart. As the to have the Palport and eat it too.
Yeah. I like that. BT, what would you change?
I would have Bart's punishment be Lisa gets to prank you once, completely punishment free. And then he's got the paranoia of just when is she going to do it? What's she going to do?
It's
And
looming.
then her whole thing is, I was never going to prank you. I just wanted to know what it's like living with that threat and that ominous, nature. And this is what you're actually doing to me is I can't relax around you and just be friends because I'm always worried it's, something else. Boom, better heart, better episode. I'm out.
Maddie, what would you like to change?
I agree. I think Lisa's punishment could have been a bit more clever. I thought it was going to be real good when she's like, oh, there's going to be something good. And I was like, ooh, some kind of vengeance plot point would be interesting. But no, restraining order was a bit like, oh, okay, that's a bit different.
Yeah.
I feel like the restraining order concept could have worked better if it was with Skinner and Krabappel.
Or if it was like a dual restraining order thing going on.
Yeah, something like that could have been more interesting.
Yeah. And as for what I'd change, look, I just want the stories to have a bit more resolution to them. I really wanted them to run with Bart's stories. I wanted them to run with all fours on that one. And
Jump a picnic table.
Yeah, and have them sort of worried about Bart's mental health. And Lisa's like, oh, yeah, I've taken this too far. Because the whole 3 nice things, and again, this is just a problem because The Simpsons has been going on so long that they've done these stories before where we we know Bart's done nice things for her. So I really wish they sort of took that element out of it, because the effigy thing really did not do anything for me. And yeah, Homer's story, it didn't resolve. It was just... there was a threat of being locked in, and, they were almost saying something about how Walmart employees are treated, and it's just like, oh, no, it's okay because we steal things. It's, not satisfying.
Nope.
BT, any other notes?
Hibbert has a sexual harassment lawsuit against him.
Yeah.
That was weird.
That was really uncomfortable because it was played for laughs, and it's like, okay, rightio, gonna back slowly out of this room.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that was almost felt really off character because Hibbert, is a friendly, approachable doctor, and now it's like, oh, actually, your doctor's a fucking creep.
I know, 'cause he's like, she was under the mistletoe. What was I gonna do? Like, nothing. Like a normal person.
It just didn't need to be done. Like, he could have gone with like, oh, sorry, like my cat died this morning. That would have been funnier. I would have enjoyed that more.
When a dead cat is funnier, you have a problem
I
with
know.
your joke.
I just came out. I said it. It's
you're
on
right.
the floor.
I'm just saying.
Well, yeah, especially that scene, because I relate so hard, because I've actually got like a little bit of an anxiety for needles that go in the vein. I'm like fine with like flu shots or whatever, arm or butt cheek, whatever, have at me. But ones that have to go in the vein, and I'm diabetic, so this has to happen often. And not only do I have this anxiety, but I've also got shy, hard to find veins. So yeah,
shy veins.
Mm-hmm. So fortunately, I found a good blood taker now who knows my deal and knows how to find my veins now. But in the past, I've just had nurses treat me like a pincushion. Couldn't find it. Couldn't find it. Couldn't find it.
I've had that. It sucks.
Yes.
Especially seeing because I don't have shy veins. They're very confident.
I know. Hi, I'm Elliot. I have shy veins.
Put
Please
that
be
on your Tinder
gentle.
profile.
Yeah, that's what
Eddie Van Pals will be like, well, not him, obviously. And my other note is this one, unlike the last one, has like these music transitions and swells in the ambience, so it doesn't sound so hollow and empty. Like when they're on the bus and it's just dialogue and there's the sound of the bus in the background, but you can hear changing gears, you can hear the bus accelerate and decelerate. It gives it that texture that without it becomes this empty, hollow void that makes you think about how bad the episode is.
All right.
So, comparative. Ha.
That's why we do this, comparative style. Maddie, any other notes?
I like at the beginning where Bart goes, you work in the business as long as I have, you're bound to repeat yourself. I thought that was very relevant, especially considering the last episode was such like a repeat of everything.
Yeah. And my note for that scene was trip, fall, repeat. And wasn't that the tagline for Edge of Tomorrow? Anyway, sorry?
And I like when Lisa is confronting Bart and she's like, you are the worst brother ever. You're not even listening to me. And Bart goes, hey, there's a dog in the next car looking at me. And I'm like, I feel that, Bart. I feel that. I could be like in the depth of conversation. I'm like, oh, dog. Hey dog.
Oh, puppy staring out the bus window. Hey, look at that dog. Isn't that something?
Hey, everybody, there's a dog over there. Oh. And I liked in the restraint video that the man was called Joe Spaghettio.
Oh, excellent character names.
Uh-oh, Spaghetti-O.
Oh, wonderful. And time for my final notes. We don't often talk about the couch gags, but once again, we get an appearance of the Powers of 10 couch gag. And yeah, I was sort of saying when we were watching it, this feels like, the Teens era's circus couch gag. It's just like, here we go again.
Yeah. It wouldn't bother me so much if it didn't end with that terribly synced when Homer goes, cool, but his mouth is not making that shape at all.
Yeah.
It's very
It's
off-putting.
just, it's weirdly unsettling.
Well, yeah, because I know in the past when we've watched it, he's gone weird.
Yeah.
So, they've just like dubbed in another word.
Like, damn it, weird is so 2000. We need him to say cool. That's what the kids are saying now.
Needs to connect to our younger audience.
Dagnammit.
In the hip year of 2005.
Radical.
There were 2 unnecessary scenes where Milhouse is picking out a postcard for his grandma and Skinner's saying he's going to exchange a towel.
Yeah, because that's how souvenir shops work.
I
Yeah,
got
that you can-
wood at Sequoia Park.
Oh, is that what the towel said?
Yeah.
Did you not read the towel?
No, I was too busy making the note that this scene was unnecessary.
You miss out on valuable towel information then.
But yeah, I had no idea that you could go between different parks and exchange different souvenirs.
Oh, is that what you're going to say when you go to the national park and you're like, I watched an episode of The Simpsons and Skinner could do it, so why can't I?
To be fair, you never see Skinner actually do it. He just says he's going to.
Yeah. You know what? As someone who works in retail, I'm going to tell you, probs wouldn't accept it.
Almost certainly not, yeah.
I can't do anything. You know what, sir? If you want to exchange that, you have to go back to Sequoia National Park.
You'd handle that much nicer than I would have. You'd just been like, what? Fuck off.
So we don't sell beach towels here. This is a bottle shop.
We don't sell this product. Can you please leave my store?
Yeah, people have asked some weird things in the past.
Ugh.
Like milk, glue. What else have been asked for? Textures.
See, milk I can kind of understand because there's a couple of cocktails.
Yeah, textures was a weird one. Scissors. It's like, where do you think you are?
There's Woolworths next door. Like, why are you here?
See, cigar cutters maybe, but scissors.
Yeah, like we're just also booze and craft.
Store idea.
I would be so into that.
Yeah, me too.
Scrap boozing.
Fuck.
Even got the name.
Oh man, I feel like that is so key, like niche market of like 30-year-old women.
Yes.
Who are single. Oh.
Also, there was, outside the court, there was Curtis, the courtesy kangaroo. This is weird because they've done Courtesy Bear before.
Yeah, I love Courtesy Bear. The Courtesy Bear.
Wasn't he the custody kangaroo?
Yeah, he was the custody kangaroo.
Curtis
right.
the custody kangaroo.
Curtis the custody
Anyway,
kangaroo.
they're
it's
using
kinda hard to
another
say.
Curtis mascot.
Yeah.
Yeah, there can only be one Curtis.
And my final note was, I've griped in the past before about the brain damage joke, which is where someone says, I hope I didn't get brain damage, and then they
Immediately get brain damage.
And they literally did that with Homer pulling out the chip and going, and with no brain damage. Ah, fuck. Oof. Again, these are these jokes which might be funny, but I don't know because they just, especially with The Simpsons, happen so much and it grates my skull.
It damages your
funny.
brain.
Yeah.
Damage.
Yeah, that just wasn't funny.
Time to rank this thing. Maddie.
A little bit better than a participant. I'm going to go bronze.
Yeah.
Just because it's that little bit better than a participant.
All right, BT.
Yeah, I was sitting around participant bronze. I feel like if the jokes or if the story had been a little bit better, I could have gone into a bronze territory, but no, I'm going to sit in a participant. But with the, it's a pretty good participant. It's not a participant. It's just a
Yeah, doesn't it?
just meh.
Yeah, just feeling right now. I'm trying to This is another one of these situations where I'm glad someone went participant because I know in my heart I had a good time with this one. I was like, oh wow, I did have a lot of problems going through my notes. But honestly, I think the jokes that worked held up for me and enough to, keep its head above water into bronze territory for me. But secretly glad that someone knocked it down a notch.
Yeah, I feel like you balanced it with your participant because I feel like a full bronze, no.
I'm not the hero you deserve. I'm the one you need.
Nah.
You're the one this podcast needs.
All right, well, averaging out, this will be a dull bronze, which is
beautiful.
Perfect. And this will be joining other such dull bronzes as Waverly Hills 9021 Doll, which
that was awful.
Yeah, it was one of the
Oh,
first.
sorry, no, yeah.
It was dull. I think that was the first episode we ever reviewed with you, actually.
No, it wasn't. Look at that. Was that a whole year ago now?
Wow, that was a whole year ago now.
Time just flies.
Sure do.
That's in the green. Wait, no.
We have no bananas.
Sunrise,
Sunset. It'll also be joining Lona Lisa, which is an episode I really wish did better than that.
Yeah.
But you participated in it, you cynical asshole. It'll also be joining Dark Knight Court, where Mr. Burns becomes Fruit Batman.
I wish that one did a little bit better.
Oh, I haven't seen that one.
It's
obviously
worth
not.
it.
Oh, it is worth it.
It's 50%. Like all the Fruit Batman stuff's pretty good, but the A plot's pretty bleh.
Yeah, because they've also got like a Bart Lisa plot, which
sucks.
Yeah, they're doing like a mock trial in their school, which is where the court. Yeah, but nothing to do with the Fruit Batman stuff, and it just drags it down.
Okay.
Also, Jazzy and the Pussycats, which is where Bart becomes a drummer.
Groovy.
The White Stripes one?
Yeah. Oh, and My Big Fat Geek Wedding, where Skinner and Krabappel break up.
Oh, which you also watched with me.
And The Way We Weren't, the flashback in the teens era where
Almost like someone is planning this.
Oh my gosh.
I couldn't plan the rankings.
No, I meant the ones we watched with Maddie.
Oh, right. Yeah. So, yeah, the flashback from the teens where Homer and Marge actually had their first kiss together, and Homer was pretending to be
Elvis.
Jagger Abdul-Jabbar. Yeah. Very good. All right, now let's see what this does to the overall season rank of season 16.
Putting in the data. Boop, 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 boop. Processing.
I like the data processing sounds.
Yeah.
That's the sound of data processing. Don't you speak, computer?
All right, it bumps it up slightly, but it is still an overall participant season 16.
How many episodes have been ranked?
Of season 16?
Mm-hmm.
Boop, boop, boop.
14 out of 21. So with 7 left, with a season high ranking of a bronze. And a season low of a unanimous failure.
Yep.
And recently I posted a status where I crunched the numbers and worked out our best to worst seasons. And season 16 is our second worst teens, and it's ranking lower than a bunch of HD era seasons. So that's saying something.
Shocking.
Yes, it is.
Yeah. All right.
This is fascinating.
I know.
Data. All right, guys. That does it for the teens era. And now we're going right to the tail end of the classic era. And we're going to watch Lost Our Lisa. Maddie, do you have any idea which episode this is?
No. No. Nope. Gonna go with no.
A lot of ways to say no. But
The answer is no.
The one where Lisa gets lost, maybe?
Where did she get lost?
the
In Capital
distress.
City?
We shall see when we come back very shortly. And we are back, and we just watched our classic and final episode of the day. This was Season 9, Episode 24, the second last episode of the classic era, Lost Our Lisa. First released in May of 1998, it was directed by Pete Michaels, written by Brian Scully, the brother of Mike Scully, a famous Simpsons writer. In this episode, this is the one where Lisa wants to go to the ISIS exhibit, and instead of taking a limo, I know, that word changed.
Okay.
Yeah.
Archer had very similar difficulties with that.
Yeah.
She wants to see the ISIS exhibit at the museum, and she takes the wrong bus, gets lost, and in the B story, Bart glues a bunch of shit to his face. Guys, what do we think?
Smashing.
I loved it. You know what? I think the fact that it's like, like the heart of the episode, which we'll get into in due time, but, I feel like that really shines through as that second classic.
Yeah, the second from the end of the eras, and the last one, which we reviewed way back in the early days of the podcast, the last episode of the classic era, which was Natural Born Kisses, where Marge and Homer get into being freaky out in public. So, but this one...
Slightly different,
Different
So we all came here to hear... hardcore nudity.
You can hear the nudity.
I know. I realized here to hear was a difficult sentence. BT, for better or worse, what's something that stood out to you?
That.
I know what you're doing. Man, this is the one that, a lot of the classic era we love because they front load with so many jokes, you're having a great time, and then they kind of start getting into the story proper. This one, I think, builds both on story and jokes. Like, it starts off not bad, but it's more plot-driven. But as we get on, the plot really ramps up and the jokes start ramping up alongside with it. And then, bam, it hits with heart. So structurally, this is a great one, but in a very different way. But the moments I wanted to point out is how we kind of get into the plot, because we have Lisa do the whole, Mom, can I take the bus? No, dear. And she's like, calls up Homer and is like, can I take the bus? Maybe. Oh, I could take a limo.
Yeah.
That'll be $200 though. He's like, sweetie, you should take the bus. Sometimes daddies have to say no.
She knows how to play him.
So good. Yeah, I love that classic. I would say it's a very daughter-father manipulation thing, to be honest.
But it's very clever. It leans well to Lisa's cleverness, but also to Homer not being a complete idiot, just being easily misled. And I like that. It's a good portrayal of his character.
Because initially he did say, oh no, the bus. And she's like, well, could take a limo.
Yeah, and not until he's having lunch with Lenny and Kyle. She wanted to take a limo, but I made her take a bus. And you horrible person. Why would you let her do that?
Sorry, I know, but that segment is so good with Carl sitting there.
Wearing the pyramid hat.
So, You guys gonna ask me anything about my hat?
Oh, yeah. What's with that hat? Oh, this old thing?
Oh, this.
What a little segue. So good. I love. See, that's the kind of like cartoon random wackiness that I'm like, yes, this is what I signed up for.
Yeah.
Yeah, because it's still wacky, but it's a funny way to get to that plot point of Homer then going, I now have to leave on unrelated reasons.
Yeah, good setup segue. So good.
Absolutely.
Oh, a lot of fun. Maddie, what's something that stands out to you about this episode, for better or worse?
100%, I would say the Lisa-Homer relationship.
Oh, yeah.
I really think those episodes where they do the father-daughter relationship play are always so beautiful and sweet. I think especially because Homer and Lisa don't always see eye to eye and they are like have such a different perspective. I think it was really nice, this episode, where it showed Homer being a bit of an irresponsible parent but also very caring, and also kind of taught her something at the end about taking risks in life. I thought that was really like, you know, sometimes the Simpsons teach you things like stuff the Simpsons have taught me. I think that's a whole hashtag, isn't it?
Oh, yeah. Simpsons were in my brain.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's not often that Homer can teach Lisa a lesson.
Yeah, a life lesson.
She is objectively smarter than him.
Yeah.
But I mean, I like how they did it in a way that, like in the first one where they're talking about how Homer needs to change, and we're all like, well, he doesn't change because this is a sitcom, it's going to revert back to zero. So there's nothing about this that suggests Lisa has unlearned that lesson or is ignoring that lesson. It still becomes a part of her. It's just not a predominant shift. Especially, and for Homer as well, it's not like, you need to learn this lesson and now you'll know that forever. It's like, you know, I'm not phrasing this well, but the way it's put together really keeps to both their characters while being a lesson learned.
Yeah, well, I mean, I do love how Homer's shocked where Lisa goes, I'll never take another stupid risk again. He just slams on the brake. Don't you ever say something like that again.
It's so good. I actually really like it. You know, bit of a tangent here, guys. Watched Finding Nemo last week.
Oh.
I was just in the mood for it.
Yeah.
And I like when Dory says to Marlin, you said to him that you'd never let anything happen to him. Well, that's a bit of a funny thing because then nothing will ever happen to him. That's a bit boring. Not too much fun for little Elmo, is it?
Yeah.
And yeah, I feel like that's kind of the same lesson here where it's like you got to take those risks to have adventures and got to have fun. And
Oh, that's it.
Yeah.
If nothing happens, then nothing happens.
100%. It's so fun. I love it as well. And he's like, that line. Are you feeling stupid? I know I am.
Your heart racing a mile a minute. I bet your left arm's tingling too.
So, Dad, are you all right?
That's how I feel all the time. Oh my God.
So good. That setup of lines was so good.
Yeah. I gotta say, this is where I sort of fell in love with the episode. I mean, I liked it leading up to this point, and you know, you were talking about the structure before, Beej, and I gotta say, it's the pacing of this episode that actually kind of brings it down for me. Like, I feel the Bart story is just kind of randomly injected into it.
Yeah, it's the starting gun to get somewhere else.
Yeah, which is weird because at the front, there's so much of the Bart story in it. You know, we don't like kick into Lisa's involvement until 5-6 minutes in, and it's a Lisa episode by all intents and purposes. And then, yeah, just two random scenes just dropped into the episode that just from a technical standpoint, like it's all stuff that I enjoyed, but it just sort of felt structurally weird to me.
Yeah.
See, I disagree with you on that because I know, shocking. I know. I'm so sorry. Do I leave now? No, because it gives an excuse for Marge to be preoccupied because Marge always does, you know, activities with Lisa. Like, again, I think it's just that mother-daughter relationship and, you know, her being the homemaker. She's always spending time with Lisa. And so it gives her a reason to be pulled away from Lisa and therefore gives Homer the opportunity to step up as a parent.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, I was about to say this very similar thing where instead of being a total fuck you opening where it's completely unrelated to everything else that goes on, it's what triggers the main event because then Lisa can't go to this exhibit. We know she's really excited to go, that Marge was going to take her, and also takes Marge out of the episode. That's why Lisa can't call home and call Marge, the easily responsible one, because she knows she's occupied. And we get that great bit where Homer's running around going, "Have you seen my little girl?" And the Marge stops, winds out the window. "What are you doing here? Shouldn't you be at work?" "I'm at work." "Keep moving, Marge. This isn't a parking lot."
Oh, and I love that Mr. Burns pulls up and it's shouldn't you be at work?
Yes,
well, you should go back to work, whoever it is you are.
That was such a good
Homer
little...
got away with skipping work because, yeah, again, we've had Who Shot Mr. Burns. They don't really do the who the devil are you anymore thing. And yeah, it was a great nice little throwback to that.
Yeah, for sure. I'd say because the plot comes into or earns that beginning, it's not a complete throwaway. It's different structurally, and if you don't like it, fair enough. But I think it works.
Yeah, well, I mean, I will concede that, yeah, it's not quite the first act fuck you that we normally have problems with. It is more of a slow baton passing.
Yep.
Yeah, just my thoughts. But standing out for better, I fucking love the scene at Dr. Hibbert's office anyway.
With the plumbing bit, because that was so funny as well.
Plumbing explosion.
See, Bart, there's another little boy who played with glue. Actually, it was a plumbing explosion. And then Marge goes, that's the kind of faucet I want in your bathroom. I love that. I think that was probably one of my favorite jokes in this episode.
Because, especially as a kid, I'd fucking hate it when my parents would do that. And it's like, stop, you're embarrassing everybody concerned.
It's a terrible faucet.
What about the bathroom?
I don't know. There's another little boy who acted like a dipshit like him.
Oh, you mean
There's
that?
another little boy that cut his own hair.
There's another little boy that was... I thought you were going to say when they were like, oh, Elliot, see that wallpaper? That's the kind of wallpaper I want to do in...
Instead, they're like, there's another little boy who want to be a bass player.
Yeah. There's another little boy who wants to grow up to be a professional podcaster.
What's a podcast? Oh, you'll know.
You'll find out when you're older, son.
But yeah, I loved the solution to... the solution to unsticking the glue, which was, the sweat of fear.
Terror sweat.
Terror sweat. I love terror sweat. That's so good.
An accidental Dr. Hibbert needle playlist.
Oh, yeah.
Button applicator, the most menacing device ever.
Where, like, it doesn't even touch the shirt. It just sort of places the buttons gingerly on Bart's shirt.
It's an applicator, not a sewer honorer.
But why have the needles anyway?
You know nothing about textiles.
I really don't. I should learn if I'm going to be opening like drunk textiles shop as well.
I was
Drunk
thinking about
craft.
that. Yeah. You could be like called craft beer.
Nice.
Ding, 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 ding. Patent pending.
Did you just say HP Drunkcraft?
No, but I wish I had.
So play count. How many times before today have you seen this episode?
Maybe half a dozen?
Half a many.
Yeah? I've seen this episode quite a lot. Yeah.
Quite a lot. How many is
Numbers
quite
are
a lot?
difficult.
I'd probably say at least 30. Like, yeah, this is sort of when I wasn't taping Simpsons as regularly. I know I didn't tape this one, but, you know, also definitely within the Fox Marathon sort of era. Was this a particularly wacky episode of The Simpsons?
I mean, that glue.
Yeah. If ingested, please consult a mortician.
I was like, rips it out of the drawer and hope this holds.
I rolled my eyes. That joke sucked.
Oh,
God.
really?
It's
I liked
adorable.
it. I like when he was going through the drawer and the gun was there. That was interesting.
Yeah, we saw a few little throwbacks. Yeah, the gun that shot Mr. Burns and the plutonium rod that won Times Person of the Year and
Didn't I meant carbon rod?
bag of Chippos.
I did like Bart being like, Mom, I didn't eat any of it. I'm not stupid.
Yeah.
As like the visual of him with all the shit on his face.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that with Hibbert's, well, novelties are no laughing matter.
Yeah.
Yeah, there were some cliche jokes that like you could roll your eyes to, be like, oh, I've made that
chose
joke.
to be a stick in the mud.
But they were good.
No, this was good Hibbert in this episode. It wasn't pesty Hibbert.
This wasn't sexual harassment, Hibbert.
Yeah, this is, if I had $75 for someone, every time I saw someone who glued humorous things to their face, by the way, I'm going to need $75. Excellent joke. Yeah, some other wackiness. Lisa, her general getting lost after her big bus ride.
Everything about this is hilarious. It's like, well, I want to go north, so I guess the geese are going to be flying north. There's two groups of geese cross section and they fight.
Geese fights and they're falling out of the sky. So good.
Yeah, I almost heard in the background as
Nice.
though.
As they start to rumble.
Yep.
The cherry picker bridge.
Yes.
That
Oh my
is
God.
wacky prime.
Yeah.
So good.
I love
babe.
how Homer's like, oh no, I'm about to go off the edge of that bridge, and he just fucking breaks straight through it.
I like that the car's still going underwater. What?
Yeah.
Just defying all laws of physics, really.
Well, defying laws of physics. That is a head that should be crushed.
Oh,
It should be
God.
You said to crush him, right?
Oh, Lisa's know their
I
perfect
just was
delivery.
like, close the bridge. You're the boss.
And the cars are still running over him. Oh,
I like as well, Dad, should you go to the hospital? No, I'll just walk it off.
when he's still got tire marks on his head.
Yeah.
And we get another like classic Simpsons. Like this reminds me of the football episode where he sees the costumes and he gets the idea to sneak
Yeah.
in and he just knocks over the guard with the stand of costumes.
Yep.
Similar to this with the balloons getting the cherry picker.
Oh, that's so good. I love that. He's like, sir, I'll give you these balloons if you let me use your cherry picker.
I already got some balloons, but nothing is nice.
Just everything about that is that's beautifully written.
As long as I'm normally not a praying man, but if you're out there, please save me, Superman.
Yeah.
There's some really good setup dialogue jokes in this
that
episode.
whole cherry picker thing is just beginning to end is amazing.
But also, I really liked the bus scene.
Mhm.
Yeah.
When she's like, getting ready for the bus. And then Mo's like, little girl, are you getting on this bus?
Yeah.
Yes. Taxi. And then he goes, VD clinic.
Yep.
Yeah.
That was.
Yep.
Went over my head as a child.
Yep. Just quickly just got in and out of there with the creepy Mo joke, which is good because normally they linger on that shit these days.
Yeah. Don't want to think about. You don't want to linger on that. That's insane.
No.
Also, but that means Mo has been having sex with someone.
Or something.
Anyway, in that scene where Lisa's romanticizing the
Yeah.
idea of the bus journey as well.
The People's Chariot.
Yeah. This is actually our last on-screen appearance of Lionel Hutz.
Really?
Yeah.
Really?
Just the visual only. But
Yeah, just the visual only. He didn't have a speaking role. His last speaking role was in the Realty episode where Marge starts selling
That's a
houses.
Realty
great
bites,
one. Oh, God. At least he goes out on a bang.
No, absolutely. And yeah, just a quiet little visual of Lionel Hutz in this one. And then, yeah, after that, never seen again.
caught
There's
that
the
bus to the
truth.
end of the line.
And
Oh my
the
God.
truth.
Yeah. So, yeah, that's what you can take from it. No, actually, because he wasn't there at the end of
I
the line.
know.
So he probably got off in Crackton.
So good.
But I also really like that visual where kind of a third-person perspective behind Lisa's head and just people just casually vanishing as the names of the places get weirder and weirder, like Crackton or Industrial Way or Military Proving Grounds.
Airport refueling zone.
Yeah, you're just like, I am not where I'm supposed to be. Yeah, it's a really well-shot bit.
Don't make me tap the sign.
We've all thought that before. Do not talk to driver. Getting a good sound out of that thing.
Yeah, it's very similar to the bus driver's tap tap. But yeah, pretty vindictive bus driver to just fucking drop a 8-year-old girl. in
He's
the
just
desert.
doing his job. What?
Yeah.
He's a babysitter now? Come on.
Come on.
But she was pretty resourceful. She managed to, get actually pretty close to the museum.
Yeah.
Like, you
6
could
blocks away. So.
yeah.
How good is the Russian district of Springfield? I love that scene as well.
Yeah.
Of course, it would be my pleasure to help you, little girl.
Just,
Ah!
but shouting in Russian.
Yeah. Great game, sir. Can we have another?
Just one of the all-time best jokes.
Ah.
This as well. So Mike Scully, brother of the writer Brian Scully, used to write jokes for comedian Yakov Smirnoff.
All right.
And so when doing this episode, they consulted Yakov for not only the direct translations, but to also coach Dan Castellaneta through the line delivery to make sure that he was getting the pronunciation
Oh,
just
so
right.
that's Dan doing his Russian. Oh,
You
yeah.
couldn't just get Yakov to do it?
I know. I was going to say they couldn't just get a Russian guy for 2 minutes. That's cool. No worries.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Well, I mean,
make Dan do Russian lessons.
yeah, probably a consulting fee is a lot less than a performance
Maybe.
fee.
Yeah.
But yeah, so another interesting tie because we've seen so many examples in the classic era of The Simpsons really going to efforts to make sure they're getting other languages right. Like recently we did King of the Hill where they had some Nepalese Sherpas and they made sure that was right. Back in the karaoke bar, they had Japanese actors. And then they dropped the ball after that.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Relics of the classic era, like effort.
I guess when you get that big, they're like, don't need to
Too
try
big to
anymore.
fail.
Yeah.
And the other bit of wackiness from Lisa's journey back to Springfield is, Area 51A.
Great. I do like the sign says, you are here, we are not.
Yeah. Oh, wonderful. We've briefly touched on it before, but how about the heart of this episode? Did you guys feel the bumps?
Absolutely.
Oh, so beautiful.
Yeah.
I love it. It's so beautiful. The music box and just the whole lead into as well, you know, the risk taker kind of talk up that Homer gives. I think it's really good and I really like it. It speaks to me on a personal level. I'm like, yeah.
Yeah.
And then like finishing, of course, with the music box, which is so sweet and beautiful. Just that nice little father. And they walk off. It's like, it's so good. It's got the heart and then it's got the humor. It's beautiful.
It's a great balance of it all. And even before that, I think, because we actually had a resolution to Bart and Lisa's story where, you know, Marge's like, you have to go apologize. Oh, my apologies always sound so forced. Do it. Okay.
Yeah.
But then you've got him. We get more heart in this one with this little back and forth where he's talking to an empty room than we got in the last one where the heart of the Bart-Lisa relationship was the focus. Where he's like, oh, fine then, be all quiet and a jerk. No, it's me that's a jerk. I didn't mean to do it. He's like genuinely apologizing. And you get so much, and she's not even there.
Yeah.
So it's funny as hell, and it's also really heartfelt.
Mom, Lisa's making me feel bad.
Stop it, Lisa. I'm Marge.
That's good, Marge.
It's so true, though. I think it's like, it's so ridiculous that little, you know, 5-second scene in this episode has more heart and depth to it than the episode we watched, which was all about the Bart-Lisa relationship.
Yeah.
Also, I just think it's like Marge's reaction is so symbolic of parents' reactions to the older children. Just like, Mom, she's doing this. Oh, okay, well, you're my oldest child, so I'll believe you. I'm like, fuck. I feel like as the youngest child, I feel personally victimized by Regina George.
Woohoo! Trio of youngest.
Yes. Unite!
May as well transition this into a youngest anonymous meeting.
So how many times did your parents ignore you for your older sibling?
They're still ignoring me.
I wish they ignored me more.
Well, you don't like
I
being
didn't want
around
attention.
My ears still never feel quite dry after that many wet willies. Anyway, yeah, I love this as well because you can sort of tell in this moment that Marge is probably preoccupied with something else. And
It's just like, stop there. Just need to maintain peace and that's it.
Yeah.
And also maintain Marge's not being aware that Lisa's in mortal danger.
Yeah, exactly. She still doesn't know, and that's great. It's another way to explain away what's going on and why, you know, they're free to break into the museum and have wacky, heartfelt, but also really funny adventures.
Yeah.
Like the line of, could you open the Lisa, sweetie? They have Daddy's fingerprints on the file.
I love when Homer turns on the cute for Lisa. Sometimes daddies have to say, no, they've got daddy's prints on file.
And have you ever seen such exquisite Ushaktis?
Not this exquisite.
I like though as well when Homer goes, never be afraid to live life on the edge. Now let's go home before your mother kills us.
Yeah, life on the edge with its limits.
Well, yeah, I mean, speaking on the heart, this is easily my favorite part of the episode when they are breaking into the exhibit. Like, even the way they're using, like, weird hanging, like, coat hanger-ish piece out the front to sort of shimmy up and, like, they're using each other's counterweight to get, like, it's really clever.
Yeah, and that's, like, absolutely the kind of thing an art museum has out the front.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, weird shit.
Yeah.
I thought it was like a space exhibit, but you are
Also
right.
possible.
Maybe, yeah. The planets or random orbits, either or.
What are the planets but
Art
the
or
random
space?
art of space?
Space art. Made by God.
Yeah. God's like, so I made this during my chaotic period. You know, I don't love it anymore, but it's still a piece of me and part of me as an artist, so I keep it around.
Oh, Dad, you mustn't cross the velvet rope. The velvet rope. Still do this in line.
Simpsons broke my brain.
For real. But ultimately, though, did this feel like an episode of The Simpsons?
Come on, laughs and heart and all of it.
Oh, man. Like, literally, the classic.
Yeah.
Setting the standard since 1990.
80.
Oh,
89.
this episode, when did this come out?
98.
1998.
And yes or no, would you watch this one again?
Absolutely.
Oh, I would go out of my way to watch this.
Yeah, for real. We're going to watch it again. We're going to put it in a playlist. What playlist would this belong in?
I would put it with the Bart-Lisa relationship. Oh, fuck. I keep doing that. I would put it with the Homer-Lisa relationship, like the beauty queen one.
Lisa's pony. And
Oh, the pony one. This is what I mean. The Lisa-Homer relationship episodes are so touching.
Yeah, the one where Lisa's betting on football with him. That's
Daddy Daughter Day. Have we done that one yet?
No.
Yeah.
Any other playlist we could put this in?
You know what I think could be a fun playlist?
Yeah.
Days off school.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
What's your favorite part about teacher whatever day?
Teacher conference.
Teacher conference
I think
day.
that we don't have to go to school.
Mine too.
And then I do love the
Little
cut to the
suck up.
teacher's conference, like, oh, here we go. And there's beer and roller coasters.
So good. I actually love that kind of secret life of teachers.
Yeah.
'Cause, yeah, my sister's a teacher and so is some of my family. And I just feel like sometimes the kids just have no idea what you get up to,
Yeah,
do
it's
they?
like that time they called an emergency caucus. Caucus.
All right. Yeah, that's a good load of playlists. BT, what would you change?
I don't think I really want to change anything because it all flows and works really well. And like I said, it doesn't front end with jokes like a lot of episodes, but I think it builds really, really nicely. I suppose if I then have any critique, it would be make the beginning funnier, but everything that's there already works pretty well. So I don't really want to change anything.
Mm-hmm. Maddie?
I wouldn't change anything either. I mean, I think it was really beautiful. I really loved the music at the end. Did you do musical moments yet?
No.
No.
And I didn't even work it in organically yet. Oh my God, I'm a bad host.
Well,
Musical moments.
Yeah. There's no chance of remembering what the lullaby sounded like after hearing the Old Spice song again.
It's so
That.
Oh, there you go.
Buy some Old Spice now.
So, yeah, nothing you'd really change?
No.
No?
Sorry to answer that in a roundabout way.
I like roundabout. By yes.
Yeah, me too.
As for what I'd change, this is another thing where, I complained about the pacing at the start of the episode, and although you guys did bring up a lot of good points against me, I'm going to stick to my guns and say that the start of the episode is weirdly paced, but again, this is one of those situations where I don't feel arrogant or qualified enough to improve this episode in any, significant way that would improve it. See? That's how good at writing I am.
Ooh, read card, good.
Yep. Were there any other musical moments?
There's some nice musical sting where she's lost in Little Russia, and it's all, you buy.
Clav
We see Clav Collage guy again. And weirdly, a bear who's got a tray of candies. And...
this poor dancing bear.
Yeah, Russia is known for their dancing bears.
Yeah. But the weird thing is, Lisa's all afraid of the people, but then the bear, she's like, oh, no, thank you. And then the bear's just really like, ma.
I tried my best sales tactic. It's almost like bears aren't meant to be salesmen.
Yeah, Russia. So, BT, we're here. Any other notes?
Indeed. When in the joke shop, they've got itching powder and impotence powder.
And the guy's holding onto his crotch, really embarrassed.
Yeah. There's also the sign out the front of Springfield General just says quality care or you're autopsy free.
Wow.
Yep. I've got a note here that says Lisa Hook computer or maybe look computer.
When he's like, no, but you don't know Lisa. She's so smart.
right.
Once they hooked up her to a computer to teach the computer, and the computer overheated.
But that didn't happen, did it?
Yes, but actually for an unrelated reason.
That was a good joke.
No, right at the end, it's like, wow, we were the ones who discovered its secret. Oh, so now it's we, huh? Yeah. Again, the fact that whole heartfelt breaking into museum bit has so many great jokes is really good.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. How about you, Maddie? Any other notes?
I liked when Marge said to Lisa, she's like, honey, when you're old enough to drive, then you can catch the bus.
Yeah.
And then she's like, Mom, please can I go to the museum? And she's like, Lisa, this is a very unusual situation. Well, at least for most families.
Yeah. This is just like when Simpsons were riding the meta border just so perfectly.
Yeah.
I liked as well when Lisa's about to get on the bus and she's like, yes, the bus, the choice of transport for the poor and poor alike. And then she gets on the bus and when Lisa's like, can I have this seat? She's like, oh, of course not, honey. That's for my coin purse.
Puts it down on the seat.
Oh, I liked when Lisa calls Homer and it's his voicemail and he goes, if you're calling about the waterbed.
Yeah, a couple of moments of Mr. Burns calling out Homer in this episode.
So good. And oh my God, Police Chief Wiggum on a stakeout dressed as a woman. And then Snake steals his purse. Could somebody stop that awful, powerful, man. So good.
The
Commitment to a bit.
physicality of that scene as well.
Yeah.
Huh. Wonderful.
And I really liked at the end where she's like, thanks for making me do something stupid, Dad.
Yeah.
Mm.
No, it was wonderful. They taught each other something there.
Yep.
She taught him about ISIS and he taught her about risk-taking.
And do Shaktis.
Exquisite Shaktis.
Mm.
All right, time for my final notes. Look, it's so early in the morning. Barney's not even drunk yet.
I do like the subtle bit that he walks into Moe's bar and Homer's already there.
Yeah, I was like, hey, Barney. The joke shot was called Yuckingham Palace. And I loved the little misdirect of, the obvious joke of the doorbell with the squirter, but then the unobvious joke of the door handle triggering a boxing glove on an extendo arm.
Yeah.
Ah, wonderful.
More things should trigger boxing gloves on extendo arms.
It's easily one of the best bits in Jackass 3D. Do you remember that one?
I haven't seen that one.
Oh, it's easily the best of the Jackass extended universe, cinematic universe, where they've put a fake letter from a fan on. And it's just saying, hi, I saw you guys last night and you are all so hot. Me and my friends, and the writing on the letter gets progressively smaller. So the guys have to lean in, and then behind the letter is, the boxing glove on the extendo arm just smashes them. Marge has the line, you can get your photo of your mummy with a mummy.
Oh, yeah, that was good.
Marge is so wholesome and cute.
So cute.
Yeah, when she's trying to get that stuff off Bart's head, she pulls that bolt 12 times.
Actually, that would be something I'd change. Just reduce it to 8. That's enough times.
Oh, yeah. Stop being funny
get it.
after 6.
We get it.
Though I do love her persistence. I feel like that's a very mother thing to just say, I just gotta pull it harder.
Yeah.
Or at least spit on a tissue and then try to
yeah.
something mummish.
Because everyone knows that a mother's spit is a good solvent.
Sure.
And my final note is, that scene with Carl, Lenny, and Homer, as it's sort of zooming in from the wide, they're just, obviously rabbling.
But I like that. It's kind of, they know you get to hear rabble.
Yeah.
Rhubarb.
It's as the ancient Egyptians call a souvenir.
Oh, yeah. Sorry. And then when Homer runs through the ISIS exhibit looking for Lisa and then comes out and obviously went through the gift shop, it has, one of the hairdressers and a little pyramid ice cream.
Yeah.
Because they look good. I'd eat one of those.
Yeah, pyramid pop.
Yeah, delicious.
Looked like it was raspberry.
Delicious.
Time to rank this thing. BT, it's your turn to go first.
Oh man, I'm on a Gilver kind of section. I'm gonna move into the gold because I think this one sticks its landing so well. I think the first half is a silver, second half is a gold. So it's kind of but better to have the ending be the good part than the beginning, because that's the part you're going to walk away with. And we all walked away with either the Old Spice or the little music box theme in our head. We all think about velvet ropes and the fuzzy velvet feelings in our hearts. So I am going to go gold on this one.
Yeah, look, I was actually coming in here as a silver, but I got to admit, you guys have talked me up.
Corruption.
And I was trying to work it out in my head as well, because I'm still thinking, am I still on a silver? And it's okay, I'm trying to break up the acts in my head. And I'd say while the first half starts out as a silver, I agree with you, it sticks its landing. And I even say it goes up to a cubic, especially with that final scene with Lisa and Homer in the box. So averaging between those two halves of my feelings, I'm going with gold. Maddie, finish us off.
I'm going to say a strong gold on this one. I think it's so wholesome, the ending. It's so beautiful, that relationship. Mm-hmm. It doesn't quite reach cubic for me because I think there's not that full heart right through it. But I think it's a really solid episode.
All right, well, averaging... God damn it.
It's still an average if you have 3 separate scores. They just don't need to be... It's not... The math isn't hard.
Well, guys, that will be a unanimous gold. This will be joining other such unanimous golds as The War of the Simpsons, which were reviewed recently with Pods in the Key of Springfield. That's with Marge and Homer and the Catfish. Mm-hmm. Saturdays of Thunder, which we reviewed last week with Tom, which was the Soapbox Derby racer.
Oh, that's a good one.
Yeah, that was great fun. Bart's friend falls in love with Samantha Stanky. Bart's Inner Child with the Motivational Speaker, Do What You Feel Festival. And Deep Space Homer. I wonder which one that is.
Is that only a unanimous gold? Oh.
This has been...
I would have given that a cubic.
This is a point of contention we found. A lot of people say that. I'm sure we justified it in the episode. Why not go listen to that podcast?
Yeah, I mean, in summary, it's for me anyway, it was a lot slower paced than I remember. And I don't know, it just didn't land as... I mean, it's still excellent.
Yeah, gold is a good score.
And another actually point of contention was A Fish Called Selma, the Troy McClure marries Selma episode. But I think we marked that down just because there's some profound weirdness about the story, especially the whole, fish fucking element of it all.
Yeah.
It's subtextual fish fucking. Gosh.
Yep. All right. So, going to put in a number. And for season 9, all right, it pushes its average score up a little bit, but it is still an overall dull gold season. Yeah, season 9 still hasn't got any unanimous cubics, but it's got a few dull cubics and a season low of a shiny participant, which was the singing, dancing clip show.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Clip shows just kill your ranking.
All right, guys. Yeah, I think that about does it for the Simpsons Index this week. But before we get out of here, we just briefly like to talk about things we're into lately. Books, TV, film, music, magazines, power tools, electronic...
Fashion trends?
Fashion. We have never had a fashion recommendation.
That's true.
I recommend pants.
Flare pants are coming in hot, guys.
Really?
Yeah.
Flare pants?
Flare.
Flare.
Not pants that have been worn by Claire.
Claire pants. The pants for Claire by Claire.
Claire will like that.
Hey, Claire. Yeah, so what have we been into? BT, we'll start with you.
Last podcast, I was talking about how Good Omens was about to come out. Now it's actually out, and I've seen the first 2 episodes, and it's quite good. So, yeah, there's been a weird run of, series based on books I've actually read. But, yeah, so far, so good. So, Hollow Knight, check it out.
How about you, Maddie? What are you into?
So I've had The Shrink Next Door. It's the newest one by Wondery.
Yes, I've been on that as well.
Yeah, so everyone's been recommending it to me, and I listened to the first episode the other day, which was pretty good. So we'll see how we go. And in terms of reading, I just finished Tina Fey's Bossy Pants, which I've never read.
One of the few books I've read.
Look at you go! Stop it!
You heard her stop.
Oh,
No more reading. Reading time is over.
Yes.
Kaffelash.
You enjoyed that one?
I did. I really liked Tina Fey. And
Yeah. Oh, so you're a fan of 30 Rock as well? And
you know what? I haven't seen 30 Rock, actually. That's a bit embarrassing that I'm...
she's done plenty of other things.
Yeah. Her as a person, I really enjoy.
Yeah, 30 Rock is just up there with my all-time favorite shows.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and what I've been into, this is going to be a weird one because I'm recommending 2 things, but they're both kind of soft recommendations only because I know they're not going to be for everybody. There's a series called Barry on HBO, so it's going to be a bit hard for Australians to get a hold of. So Bill Hader, he's playing a hitman that just sort of stumbles in to start taking an acting course. And it's really funny because he immediately latches onto the idea of learning how to act, but he's got his bosses going, oh, you've still got a job to do, and so it's just this weird duality of this guy who's doing awful things, and he's wanting to just do community theater, and it's so it's a dark comedy as well. It goes to some really horrible places, but every episode just has at least one uproariously funny moment. So so there's that one, and also I'm almost finished with Pen 15, which is on Stan. Have you?
What?
Do you guys know this one? No,
I know, but Pen 15 is penis.
Yeah.
For those playing at home.
Yeah, so it's 2 women in their 30s, and they're playing 13-year-olds in a high school full of 13-year-olds. So it's a very weird thing where the first couple of episodes, you've got to get used to the idea that these 2 women in their 30s are trying to be 13 years old, and they're towering taller than most of the adults and parents in this show.
Why are they trying to be...
I think it's
that's not the plot point.
Yeah.
That's just
not
the
even
actors.
the plot point.
No.
They're just portraying.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Even trying to explain it, it's weird.
Yep.
So, they've got crushes on boys, and they're
That's a bit pedophilic.
That's what I thought.
If the roles were reversed, I don't think that
Very
would
well
be
creepy.
going down well. Reverse sexism, it's a thing.
Well, yeah,
Pretty
because
sure they just call it sexism.
Well, because there's even this one scene where one of them, it's implied she's making out with a boy, and they do some very clever-ish cutting around it to make it obviously they're not making out with a teenager or anything. But it's still kind of creepy, but the writing really carries this show. It's worth watching, but like I said, these are weird recommendations because I know they're not going to be for everybody, but they're both shows with great writing, so I really respect them. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so Ben 15 and Barry, that's my recommendations. And I think we're done. That's it for us. That's been Maddie Dockrill.
Hello. I mean, goodbye. Sorry, I don't know.
You say hello.
Present.
Maddie, can you spell choke?
And that's been BT Calloway.
Hoi.
I'm your host, Elliot Jay O'Neill. That's all the mustard in the house.
Thank you for listening to the Simpsons Index podcast, which is also an online spreadsheet available at thesimpsonsindex.com. You can chat to us online at facebook.com/thesimpsonsindex or at Simpsons Index on Twitter and Instagram. And now please stay tuned for the bonus scenes!
You should have that at the end of the episode.
And so, yes, this will be a dull participant, and it'll be joining other dull participants. It'll be joining guest stars and music. Oh, man, I'm getting good at covering that organically in the rest of the chat.
Nicely done.
Thank you. Praise be unto me, your Lord and Saviour. There are no other gods before me.
Remember, Jesus is watching.
That inflated quickly. Remind me not to thank you for anything. I will give you any kind of praise in future. That's all it takes.
How about you, Matt? I'm losing my words at the end of this thing, man.
Midi Codrell.
Midi Codrell?
From Midge, from the first segment.
Oh, right.
Maddie became Midi. And then Dockrill sounded like Codrell.
Midi Codrell kind of sounds like a mid-strength Codrell.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But when you kind of have the cold and flu, but not really.
When you feel the cold coming on, take Midi Codrell.
For the sniffles.
As long as it's fun and has beer.
Yeah, beer and Tim Tams.
Yeah.
Also the way to a woman's heart.
This Valentine's Day, give her beer and Tim Tams.
Yep, together at last.
Oh my God, yeah. I mean, Tim Tams every few months come out with a wacky line of flavours. How have they not done an Australiana range?
Beer flavoured. Oh, stop it.
New Tim Tam flavours, VB and Vegemite.
I have some fun trivia for you.
Yes.
Okay.
Did you know the name Tim Tam was inspired
Like Glenn Close?
by a racehorse?
Really?
How did
Yes.
that work?
That's all I've got for you
Oh,
guys.
the racehorse
That's-
was called Tim
The
Tam.
racehorse was called Tim Tam.
They're like that. So they were sitting there going, I'd like to eat that horse.
I want to turn that horse into a delicious biscuit.
I'm going to guess.
Oh, I could just coat you with chocolate and nibble you up.
I'm going to guess it's the same color as the chocolate.
Yeah. Just to think, they could have almost been called Far Laps. I don't know any other horses.
Sea biscuits.
They do not sound good.
No.
They sound salty.
Very salty.
An American racehorse, actually,
yeah?
as well, which is even
Oh.
more interesting that it was chosen to be named
Yeah. Why, I believe Mr. Arnott won his fortune betting on that horse.
into a biscuit.
And then he ate it. No one believed he could eat the whole horse. However, he bet against himself and won.
Back when horse racing was who could eat the horse the fastest.
It was the Depression. People did weird shit.
So did you watch the Death Stranding trailer?
Yeah. Confusing.
Do you know, some of the enemies are called BTs?
Yeah. It's hard to not take this personally, but...
Yeah. Well, because when I first watched it, I thought it was PTs, and maybe it was a reference to
The
that.
PT.
Yeah. So that's two video games now, because apparently there's a BT, which is a robot in Titanfall.
Titanfall 2, yes.
Oh.
I'm popular, I guess, is the only answer.
In one, you're a helpful tutorial robot, and then the other, you're
Like a other dimensional ghost monster. Yeah.
Yeah, because apparently there's no dying in Death Stranding. You just go to a different level.
You go to the upside down.
Yeah.
It's kind of humbling, isn't it? The music we just heard might never be heard again.
Yeah, but it'll always live on because we'll never forget it.
Dad, that's the Old Spice song.
It is? Well, that's a good song, too.